morning, I want to let you know that joy is coming. Say, joy is coming. Joy is coming. Joy is coming. Hold on. Fight on. Pray on. March on. Let's do it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Come on, let me hear everybody say that. Go ahead with that chat. Who are we? Who are we? Who are we?
What up, Lunchbox? Go back to work. We'll see you tonight.
All right. Okay. So next up, brothers and sisters, I'd like to introduce Arma Westmoreland from ETU. There's a church from North Veterans of America. Our own Oscar Williams Jr. from LG National VA Council, and Matt Stewart. Would you come? Thank you.
Go Tar! Hung, hung, hung. Good to see ya. What up, Catnip? Lunchbox, you're in first place. Sure.
You guys, my name is Irma Westmoreland.
Not over on Twitch, though.
In Augusta, Georgia, for the VA. I'm also Secretary Treasurer for National Nurses United and Chair of our VA division. While I've worked for the VA for 34 years as a nurse, some of my earliest memories are going to the VA in
Hello,
Augusta, Georgia.
staring and all.
With the veterans on
AH,
bingo
hung,
nights,
hung.
or dance parties when I got
Does
older.
AH stand for Adolf Hung?
I spent 50 years as a VA volunteer.
Hung, hung, enemy Bob.
Pretty cool, huh? Also, my husband is a retired SFC Army veteran of 21 years of service who has disabilities from his service. So the VA is deeply personal to me. Our servicemen and women were told, if you need us, we'll be there for you. It's a promise. Now Secretary Collins and the administration want to take that promise away. And we're not going to allow it.
Unite for Veterans is against Trump, apparently.
It deeply pains me to see these attacks on the VA when the
Valentinius, confidence is high.
a contract for the
Go
VA
Tar! First over on Twitch.
the nurses and the doctors
Jay Davis,
are
hung, hung, Frank.
going to be caring for
Adam
these
Hung!
patients. When the administration says they
RM.
want
Midday hungs
we say
are
no.
the best hungs.
We need to live up to what we
I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna say it.
veterans. We told them that we would be there for them, and we need to do that. They stood for you and me, and I ask you now to stand for them. No cuts to the VA.
Grammy, yeah, a veterans group.
Someone or love someone ill from burn pit smoke, or from Agent Orange, or lost a limb from an IED explosion, or died, or suffered from PTSD, military sexual trauma, or other chronic illnesses. We know the VA is the best place to get care for these ailments and more. The VA is the only healthcare system centered around the special needs of service members. 30% of our employees are veterans themselves. But it's more than that. It's also the only healthcare system in the country that's fully integrated, will help with veterans in poverty, with homelessness, offers clothing allowances, and much, much more. I've seen magic happen at the VA.
Adam, we need Biden, right?
Fast, and it's not unusual to see veterans helping veterans, whether it's pushing a wheelchair or walking him down the hall to an office. These veterans share a deep sense of camaraderie and a sense of belonging that goes a long way in making a person feel better and stronger.
Walt Disney Whitman, hello, hello.
No, it's not. I can't tell you that it is. But let me tell you, we're light years better than the private sector. That's why I will not stop.
Adam, now you're number 2.
Improved and not destroyed.
Seems when you brag about being number 1, it kicks you down to number 2.
Is now looking to cut tens of thousands, up to 80,000 jobs from the VA. These decisions are being made at the.
Haven't heard a drummer yet, Valentinius. Did you hear a drummer?
Do the work know best where things can be improved and streamlined, and I say ask them. He says no mission critical positions will be cut, but let me tell you, all positions in the VA are mission critical. As you all know,
Here's the speaker.
For every person to keep their job. From the engineering staff.
No one should ever be fired ever.
Secretarial staff.
Firing people is what Nazis do.
When cuts are made, who will be there to have to pick up the work that needs to be done? The nursing staff and the medical staff that are left. When supply folks are cut, I heard that operations were being... It's important for every person to keep their job.
Oh, we already heard that. This guy's ahead of that.
To the warehouse in the VA to get supplies for surgery needed in the OR for a patient who was waiting. That's not right. That's right. But that veteran finally got their surgery. It was delayed, but it was done. But it was because the nurses stood for that veteran. When housekeeping was cut, I heard delays in veterans getting into beds because there was no one to clean the rooms. This causes delays for our patients getting needed treatment started, and in some cases, it may need to lead for a more elevated critical need treatment. It's common sense. Cutting 80,000.
Walt Disney, is Trump speaking right now?
Cause delays in veteran care. So we say.
Oh, you're turning on Trump. Okay.
Cuts.
I see.
That's right. We know we are witnessing. What we're witnessing is an effort to push the VA past its breaking point. The ultimate goal is to privatize the VA and pour billions of taxpayer dollars into giant healthcare corporations and the pockets of billionaires instead of the veterans who served our country. Don't sell us out, because what they do, they know the VA and the federal government, it's going to pay them on time, every time. That's why they want our care. But they don't know our care. They don't know how to provide our care. They don't know that the VA does it better than anybody. The nurses and the doctors are specifically trained to do it. We've been training for years since the VA was incepted. And while right now we're not going to go away. We are not for sale. That's exactly right. It is the nurses and the government workers who are standing up to block this privatization effort. It is because of our unwillingness to back down that nurses and other unions are feeling the retribution that came down on March 27th with an executive order designed to strip us of our union rights. It is union busting and intimidation, plain and simple. But we're fighting back. National Nurses United, along with other federal workers, labor unions, and other veterans groups.
That sign said, "We the people are the fourth branch of government." Which is so stupid for so many reasons. Like, the government is of the people and by the people and for the people regardless. But, like, the government, did they mean the federal government branches? Because there's a lot more to the government than just the three branches of the federal government. I don't even know where to begin on how stupid that fucking sign is.
With that being said, you all understand the VA is not a contract, the union's not a
Hello, happy balls underwear. Good day. Good day to you.
We're not going away.
Jay, did they at least spell all the words right? I think so. It kind of went by quickly. I don't know.
We can care for every veteran. NNU knows that an injury to one is an injury to all.
Enemy Bob, yes. Unions always do the best job. Every time. Well, that's true, Chief.
The VA will stand strong for our veterans. Thank you.
Can't argue with that, Chief.
Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Church. I'm a Navy veteran, the Executive Director of Minority Veterans of America.
Hello, Lindsay Church.
Someone who still holds tightly to a belief that this nation is worth fighting for. Not with weapons or wars, but with truth, with compassion, and with conviction that we all deserve to belong. We stand here today not just in protest, but in protection of one another.
Blaine, yes. Same stream from last night. No.
Public service itself.
New stream.
Because
New stream. Who
It
dis?
is not theoretical. It is not slow moving. It is here. It is deliberate.
Hey Blaine, do you play shooter games?
Today marks the beginning of what history will
Vickers,
be
yes, this is a fake and gay rally for sure.
An unconscionable order from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth that puts thousands of service members across the country and around the world in the crosshairs of their own government. Troops who serve with integrity and distinction.
Blaine,
are told that their
get
presence is a problem,
Splitgate 2.
that their identities are incompatible with patriotism.
And let's play it tonight.
Choose. Walk away from the careers that they've built or stand and stay to be persecuted.
Walt Disney, what time does Neil Young perform?
Besides some of them.
Probably right after,
Brave, steady, remarkable people who are carrying
right after Springfield.
with grace that shouldn't be required of them. I watched as they told their stories.
Jay Davis, I play shooter games at Popeyes after dark sometimes. That's a dangerous game, my friend.
Members of Congress and their staff.
There's people there with a lot more experience than you, let me tell you.
Those weren't statistics in front of them. They were patriots. And no matter what some want to believe,
Watch, man,
they
Dropkick
belong.
Murphys rock. Yeah. Green Day will be on.
Hegseth is not the only one making these decisions. At the Department of Veterans Affairs, Secretary Doug Collins has announced his goal to eliminate 83,000 jobs.
Oh, look at this speaker.
By the very people who care for us when the wars are over. People who process disability claims, answer crisis lines, help veterans find housing, and walk alongside us through recovery. Many of them veterans themselves, many of them survivors of the very systems now being dismantled. This isn't reform, it's abandonment. And it's not isolated to VA. Today, the job cuts are there, but they are already spreading. The workforces in Social Security, FEMA, education, those pillars of community stability are already being slashed. Public servants across the country are being demoralized, discarded, and erased. Many of them, not because they failed in their duties, but because they dared to serve the people that those in power find.
Splitgate 2. Splitgate 2.
This is not about cost saving. This is about consolidation of power, of control, of the very definition of who gets to be counted as an American.
Trust me, I'm gonna start smoking in direct sunlight.
This week, the Navy quietly.
If anyone else wants to download Splitgate 2 to play with us tonight, go for it.
A name meant to honor courage, authenticity.
Blaine and I will be
sacrifice.
playing Splitgate 2 tonight.
Stripped from our national memory without
It is Fake and Gamer Month
without justification, and without
here
shame.
in the zone.
But Harvey Milk's story is not one they can erase. And neither are the stories of Harriet Tubman, or Medgar Evers, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or John Lewis.
All right, everyone, you are watching live now from...
Come on.
All namesakes of Navy ships. These aren't just names.
Hong Hong Low Q.
Erasures continue, the real world harm accelerates. Just weeks ago, the VA rescinded protections that ensured that transgender and non-binary veterans like me could access medically necessary care. Care that is affirming, care that is evidence-based,
Mason.
and care that saves lives.
Good to see you, Hunger.
It's not about medicine. It's about cruelty, cloaked in bureaucracy.
Yes, it is!
And while the spotlight is aimed at transgender people, benefits for others, women, people of color, disabled veterans, are being quietly dismantled in the shadows. Let me be clear. We are the canary in the coal mine. What they do to us in the headlines, they will do to you in silence. I've stood beside veterans as we slept on the steps of the Capitol to pass the PACT Act, because our sick and dying friends deserved better. I've traveled to Ukraine with fellow veterans to stand with our allies in their fight for freedom. I've seen my life in the military and far beyond it, answering the call to serve.
Whoa, Kash Patel claims he was swatted.
And as director of the FBI, I have a responsibility. I'm not just going to bring a case because somebody hurt me. They did, and they continue to do it. Shit, my house just got swatted yesterday.
What?
Yeah, but...
You got swatted?
Oh, yeah.
The head of the FBI gets...
Why are Kash Patel and Dan Bongino always on talk shows? Every fucking day. When do they do their job?
Swatted?
Yeah. Yeah. These people play... It's the ultimate height of hypocrisy. They have two sets of rules. One against you and one for them. And as director of the FBI...
Has anyone ever been caught for swatting? No. No. It's all a scam, says Blaine. This employee at the liquor store is fatigued.
To do so.
Then you said, call me a dummy again? What you say?
So what's going to happen now? Now that
you said, if I don't get the fuck out of here, what's going to happen?
Pardon me? Now what's going to happen is... Now
I'm just asking you a question. I'm going to leave, but can you repeat what you said to me just like 5 seconds ago?
So the two options are, you would just leave.
And what's the other option?
The second option would be that I'll call the authority police.
And you're going to tell them what you called me? You're going to tell them you called me a dummy and everything, right?
That's not going to be part of the conversation. What's going to happen is they're just going to say, hey, man, come on, take off. And then you will. Okay. So, like, it's the easy way or the annoying way that I don't want to do.
Right here. He called me a dummy today. This guy called me a dummy today.
Right.
Right? You meant to. I'm glad you did. So and then the guy said to me, listen, y'all. Okay. This is in this is in the Port Authority, New York. In the liquor store.
So like I said, yeah.
Then the guy told me to get the fuck out of his system.
See how you're acting? We don't want anybody.
You said that to me though.
Anybody who acts like this in here.
You didn't say that to me?
It's a wine store. Could you assist me in removing a customer that doesn't want to leave?
Okay, and I got the footage of you calling me a dummy too.
A customer, he just doesn't want to leave, you know. Just won't leave.
You called me a dummy.
American gentleman, 5'10", white shirt.
White shirt. You called me a dummy though.
He's not causing problems.
You called me a dummy. I'm gonna burn this door to the ground now.
You called me a dummy. What professionalism is this?
Think about the moment.
You can't make this up, bro. You are very professional. I'm gonna tell you that now, bro.
Well, I appreciate that.
You might have it. You might have it bad. How old are you, bro? You look young, bro.
So the whole thing was that we only sell wine and spirits. This is not chat authority. You know, it's not talkathon.
Talkathon. Look at this Mel Cameron.
I don't want to do this with you, man.
You should have. Why you couldn't just say that instead of calling me a dummy or yelling at me?
Tried, and you want to argue with me. That's where you got dumb, man. You know.
Oh, I got dumb. You called it. So I'm dumb and I'm a dummy.
I've asked it 8 or 9 times to behave in a nice way.
You called me.
So now we're at options.
All right. Okay. I got it.
So 30 minutes ago, Democrats are actively obstructing federal immigration officers in New York City, where ICE are detaining migrants outside courthouses as activists attempt to physically block arrests. Stopping the federal government from doing their job? Is this not insurrection?
Wait a minute. Hey. Jesus.
Get off, guys. You're obstructing a federal arrest. Obstructing a federal arrest. Get on the ground. Get back. Get back. Get back.
Necessary.
Stop fighting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
Hey, arrest us. Hey.
Get the fuck back. Get back. Get the fuck back.
Back.
Back up.
Back up. Back up. Back up. Back up.
Back up. No, hey, please, ma'am, back up.
What you back?
Hey, back up. Señor, hermano ahora. Ya. Stop resisting. Stop resisting.
He's not fucking resisting.
I'll get him. Get him up. You gotta get back up. Just give us space. You gotta get back. You can get pinched. Just get back. I'm trying.
This is in New York City, Grammy. Somewhere in New York City.
Get FPS up here. Watch out. Just watch out. You gotta get back. Just trying to get something on the ground. You gotta get back. You gotta get back.
Someone get his name. What's his name and a contact with a letter?
Guys, move. Everybody get out of the way. Move.
Let's see if she gives. Federal courthouse in New York City.
I'm a citizen. Get the other person's name. It's more important.
Back up. Back up. Back up. Hey, that's us. We're good.
No tiene que dar ningún tipo de información. Puede mantenerse en silencio.
Good game, good game.
Okay. All right.
She's not allowing anyone to speak. It's clear that the respondent is not aware of his rights in the courtroom. He keeps asking what's going on, and she just reiterates that the department has broad discretion in its movements.
I love how they're being all quiet and after being so unruly. Back to the rally.
Under attack.
I do wonder when the Dropkick Murphys come on.
And so we are sending a unified message to show that we are not going to let those wins be taken away. And it is apropos that I am here that my vision for IAVA is one that of our members and some of those amazing cavalry leaders that we have out there with you today in the crowd aren't just being reactive to the moment, but are help shaping the future that we want to see for this country together. IAVA represents the next greatest generation of veterans, and it is so much of an honor to be here on the day where we honor the greatest generations that stormed the beaches in Normandy one day. And it is on that legacy that our membership is here to fight to preserve veterans' benefits. Benefits that represent the promise of the country that so many of us raised our right hand to serve. And these benefits are essential not just for each of us as individual veterans to thrive, but for us to carry on that leadership mantle and continue to fight for those who feel that they have no voice. Every one of us in the post 9/11 generation chose to serve, and many at a time when America was embroiled in two of its longest wars. We are the leaders. Everyone that is out here in front of me today are the leaders that this moment needs. In uniform, we unite.
Just in, Trump planning to extend TikTok ban deadline again.
In front of us, whether it was fixing a vehicle,
flying night ops off of a carrier,
Fuck yeah.
driving convoys through the desert, or being pinned down in a firefight, we came together from different backgrounds. From across this country, from different races and creeds, from different religious and political beliefs, in order to step up for what this country asked us to do. We are better together. And today we're showing that we are doing that again, because this is not a day of our team versus your team. This is a day to show that we are united. We are united to demand that America keeps its promise to us. We are united to stand up for those that feel that they don't have a voice right now. We are united to support our sisters and brothers that are still wearing the uniform and cannot advocate for themselves at this moment. We are united to support our Afghan and Iraqi allies that are currently under threats by the bans that are coming out of this administration. And this is the sign of unity that shows that we are the leaders America needs today. We are here to stand up and challenge the divisive narrative that is being fed to us. We are here to stand up and show that we stay better together even when we take the uniform off. And we are here to show that in unity and solidarity, diversity is indeed our greatest strength. And today, we not only fight for ourselves, but for our family members, those military and veterans' families and children whose programs and rights are also under attack, who are being attacked by their employment, who are being attacked for their benefits, because we are the service generation. And we know that service doesn't stop the day that we take the uniform off, but continues.
We are the service generation.
And as I look around and I see the signs out in the crowd, I see so many
there's a live LA City Council meeting going on.
We are here to say no.
It's like a bunch of insane people.
VA services. We are here to demand that the Department of Veterans Affairs remains a system that is built to serve every single one of us who served. And while, yes, veterans should have a choice in who they get to see, that choice should also include access to highly skilled and highly trained VA medical professionals. And this is particularly essential for our
Nowadays, how many came just to see the Dropkick Murphys? Do Dropkick Murphys have any fans anymore?
Where they have to prove time and time again that
San Antonio, child dies after medical episode.
And critically, we are here to hold our political leaders accountable for the policies that they are enacting that are breaking the promises that America made to us. We are here to say that promises made must be promises kept, and we will have your back until they are. And these issues that we have heard so much about already today, despite what the media is trying to tell us, are not partisan issues, they are American issues. These are not issues that we should be played politics with. They are matters of fairness, respect, and demanding that our elected officials uphold the sacred covenant that each of us made when we raised our right hand. IAVA, since its founding, has stood for the unity that we see here today. We've been bringing veterans together across all backgrounds, beliefs, and branches of service to face the most serious challenges that impact all of us, and in this moment, it is no different. We have your back, whether you serve 1, 2...
Yeah, let's check out this LA City Council meeting.
Gracias. Esperemos. Espero que voy a esperar para ir a un aspecto. Tenemos otra presentación más.
Is the LA City Council meeting completely in Spanish? Probably.
Gracias, Consejo Presidente. Era una cosa.
Hello, VC Jalahai. Happy Friday.
Cuando tuve el placer de servir en la legislatura, uno de los primeros actos que hice fue incrementar el financiamiento para las artes que nos llevaron a tener un alto. Tuvimos mucho financiamiento, pero lamentablemente por el presupuesto se les recortó, pero el presupuesto del Estado del 2013 que se presentó por el Consejo de Administración eran 5 millones, solamente 5 millones para un presupuesto estatal. Hay mucho trabajo que se hace para hacer, y arte es la mejor manera de expresar y poder comunicarse porque no requiere cartas.
Oh, wait. Sorry, guys.
El trabajo que ustedes hacen.
Oh, well, wait. Are they both Spanish? Hang on.
That concludes our presentation portion of this meeting.
I didn't realize there were two streams, the Spanish
We'll
version
now move on to the next
and the
meeting.
English version.
Is there anything before public comment, or can we move to public comment?
Council may go into public comment now, sir.
Great. Please read the instructions for public comment.
To people providing public comment, when it is your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you'd like to speak to. You will have 1 minute per item, up to 2 minutes total for the items open for public comment. We will tell you when your time is up. When speaking of the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can.
What up,
If you're not on
Stooley?
topic, or if we cannot tell whether you're on topic, you will get one brief warning from me or the president. At that
If we
point,
can't
you need to
tell that you're on topic.
Get on topic. If you do not do so, or you again stray off topic, you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time.
If you don't say what we want you to be saying, we'll declare you're off topic and we will end your speaking.
Members of the
Yeah,
public may
she
also
has a
speak
mask,
for up
right?
to 1 minute for general public
Dude, I'm
comment.
starting to see more people driving around in cars by themselves with masks on again.
During general public comment,
It's
members of
giving
the
me
public may
2020,
speak to any
2021
items or anything else
flashbacks.
in the city's subject matter jurisdiction.
What do you guys do? I saw like 3 of them today.
I'll begin reading names.
Okay. Let's start with
Bobby M., Quinn, and Hamid Khan.
If you've heard your name, please come to the left side of the chamber. House left, stage right.
Which items would you like to speak to?
Item,
Walt
general
Disney,
comments
ugly
and-
broads should wear masks.
Item 4 is not available for public comment. You can speak to item 4 in your general public
Okay,
comment.
so some of the people that you have noted have already had to leave because there are about 9 different ICE raids going on within a 2-mile radius. On 9th and Town, at the refresh spot, on 15th and Santa Fe, at the garment factory over there in the fashion district. And that's what brings me to this comment about the real-time crime center. Because what you're doing is expanding mass surveillance, creating a whole biometric dragnet, and the information sharing that is picked up through these real-time crime centers. You have the license plate readers, you have CCTV cameras, you have record management systems, which is a constant feeder to the federal government, which goes to the Joint Regional Intelligence Center or the Fusion Center, which becomes a pipeline of information that does ICE know where somebody still lives? How does ICE know and CBP knows that where the community is? And we are part of the Community Self-Defense Coalition. Every day we are going and intervening into several ICE raids. And how are these people finding out? We sent a letter, you got to stop this thing, and this is going to expand.
You gotta stop this thing.
I'd like to call some more names. Ahmed Bakar, Julio Hernandez, and Rob Shields.
All right, let's see if I can.
Let me hear you say fed up! Let me hear you say fed up!
Into the fed up! Oh wait, that's not what they want.
Let me hear you say we ain't taking this anymore!
Man, the boomers are mad. Boomers are mad.
My name is not just Cecil Roberts, President of the United Mine Workers of America. I used to be Sergeant Cecil E. Roberts in Vietnam in the 196th Light Infantry Brigade.
Uh-huh.
I want to have my dear friend Will Addy come up here for a second. Come up here, Will. Will Addick and I fought in 2 different wars, but as soon as I met him, I saw that CIB. How many of you know what a CIB is? Well, I've got one on the side of my hat. He's got one he wears. 2 different wars, 30 years difference, where we are all brothers and sisters when it comes to veterans.
Uh-huh.
When I first got to Vietnam, I want you to listen to this. Some people tell me I was never scared when I went over there. You're looking at a guy that was scared to death.
Uh-huh.
I tell the truth. That's the truth. I was scared. When I first got here, it appeared that nobody liked me. These people with 15 months, 10 months, 8 months,
Shit.
counting the days.
I wonder why no one liked
They
you.
looked at us new guys, it's like, that guy's gonna get me killed. Then when they heard my accent, oh no, another hillbilly from West Virginia. That's
No.
what they thought.
They thought you were a fucking moron, and they definitely thought you were gonna get him killed.
Veterans, and they said, how you gonna act? I didn't understand the question. How you gonna act? I want you to remember that, because I'm gonna ask you, how are we going to act moving forward from this place? And then, when bullets go right by your nose, they look at me and say, don't mean nothing, man. I'm thinking, bullshit, that's meant something to me. And I want you to think about
Jay,
it.
dude, stop yelling all the time. We're in the jungle. We're trying to hide in the trees from the Charlies.
With kids at home, mom and dads at home, wives at home, and all kinds of friends at home not make it. When I first got there, somebody with 30 days got killed. Had a daughter he never met. Somewhere in this United States of America, there's a 57-year-old woman that never met her father. Now, how many veterans we have here by show of hands? You're going to get a test right now. How many of you met a millionaire in Vietnam or where you were stationed? How many of you met a millionaire? There's a good reason. Millionaires don't defend the country. They take advantage of the country. And if there's people listening to this live broadcast, you can be mad, your feelings can be hurt, and I don't care.
I'm not mad, and my feelings aren't hurt. I'm just perplexed. I'm perplexed by your stupidity, sir. I also don't know why you're yelling at me.
Vietnam veteran. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. But I want to thank everybody. Every veteran. Because we've been embraced for the last 20 years. And that means so much to me. Thank God for you. It isn't enough to come here and rally. This is a great first step. Abraham Lincoln said this is a country of the people, by the people, and for the people. It has turned into a country for the rich people who don't care about the rest of us. I'm going to tell you what we should be planning.
It's kind of always been that way, but sure.
We should demand.
The poor people don't care about the rest of us either, by the way.
And lost their
Is, is the argument that like rich people are morally wrong and terrible people, and poor people are loving and caring, and they care about the rest of us. I mean, is that the argument here? If you're rich, you're a monster. If you're poor, you're an amazing moral person. I guess that is the argument.
We shouldn't be having a parade until every veteran has the health care they deserve. And we shouldn't be having a tax plan that says to the
Is that a Christian belief, Chief?
Here's another tax cut for you until every American who has a job, doesn't have a job, has a job, until every homeless person has a home.
Jay, well, yeah, that's the argument underneath the argument for sure. Jay said the argument is be jealous and mad so we can sacrifice you to get us into power so that we can be the rich ones. You know, Bernie Sanders style. XX, if you live in a shoebox, they love you, but if you make it out of this shithole, they hate you. Yeah. Hung hung, bat snakes.
And that's why we're here today. You do know, this is my last quote, okay? On that next to last. Dr. King was assassinated 1 month before I left Vietnam.
Okay.
And I watched these African American soldiers, so desperate, so frustrated, so hurt, pick up their rifles, pick up their M60s, and went out in those rice paddies and defended the United States when the United States didn't defend them. That was wrong.
Yeah, that's true, Chief. That's true.
This one will really challenge you. Dr. King.
Gotta admit, I'm not
of the civil rights movement.
I'm not the most up on my Bible and Christianity lore.
And bitten by dogs. He said, listen to this. If you don't
But I have heard those, Chief.
Not somebody.
And that does seem to support your argument.
Not your mom, not your dad. Something that you would die for. You don't have a life.
Paco, free beer helps. Free beer helps what? Everything? Leon says MAGA is treason. How so? Leon, how? Explain your position.
That I jumped from Dr. King to Mother Jones. My great-grandmother and Mother Jones were friends. Two great radicals. And I'm so proud of our heritage. You may not know this history, but when you leave here today, read it. How many of you heard of Ludlow?
Of what?
At Ludlow.
Oh, Ludlow.
The gun thugs came off the hill after taking a machine gun and firing into the tent colony all day long. Sometime in the middle of the day, they cut a 12-year-old boy in two. Later in the day, they murdered the leader of that tent colony. And then they set those tents on fire and burned 13 women and children alive.
Oh, no.
That happened. That's part of our history.
America's the bad place.
Mother Jones did not quit.
You can leave. Why does everyone want to come here if America's the bad place?
About 15 miles.
Why would you be so mad that we're deporting people? If America's the bad place, we're doing you a favor by deporting people. We're getting them out of the bad place.
Take this with you when you go home. She said, sure you lost. Sure you lost. But they had bayonets. And all you had was the Constitution of the United
Blaine,
States.
yeah, probably. Except for the few people who are here for the Dropkick Murphys. They're just here for a free show.
Let me assure you, any confrontation between a bayonet and the Constitution, the bayonet will win every time.
Yes, Julie, there's never anyone under 50. There's a lot of protests where the average age is high 60s.
You must fight! You must fight and win! You must fight and lose! But you must fight! What must you do? You must fight! 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 You must fight!
Waving a Ukrainian and Canadian flag.
Good afternoon. So, thank you, Mr. Roberts, for that moving speech.
Jay, they'll fight until both hips break.
Thank you to my fellow
Which won't be long now.
for the work
That's
that
for
you
sure.
are doing. And thank you to our veterans for the work that you have done. So my name is Matt Stevenson, and I'm a proud VA primary care doctor.
Okay.
Now, let me be clear. I'm not speaking today as VA staff. I'm speaking as a private citizen and as a physician. I do not represent the views of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Instead, I represent a grassroots group of hundreds of VA doctors from every specialty and every corner of the country who have come together around a shared vision.
Thank you!
Together, we stand for the highest ideals of medicine, healing for those who suffer and service to those in need. Together, we stand for Lincoln's promise to care for those who bore the battle.
Yes.
Together, we care for a healthcare system that is the bricks and mortar embodiment of something sacred, the Veterans Health Administration, a place with the commitment, the expertise, and the mission to serve those who served.
Yes.
So,
yeah, this VA doctor can barely read.
My friends, together today we stand at a crossroads, both for veterans' health and for ourselves.
Both for
in recent months, we at the VHA
veterans and
we have been bullied and intimidated.
Oh no,
We've seen
we've been
worrisome
bullied.
signs of an attempt to dismantle and privatize the VA. And in the face of these unprecedented stressors, many of us, I admit, are afraid. Not just for our jobs, but for our patients and for our values. But while we are afraid, we are not alone. We are not backing down.
Yeah, what if I start streaming in a lab coat?
Today, we Doctors for Veterans Health stand for our veterans just as we stand alongside them right here on the mall.
I'm gonna go walk around downtown Nashville with a lab coat and a stethoscope.
We stand for a healthcare system which, despite what you may have heard, delivers higher quality at lower cost than any other system in the country.
Agitate, educate, organize.
Now, can we do better? Of course we can.
Yes. I love to be educated by people who are agitating
Because
me.
the Veterans Health Administration, like America itself, is what we in healthcare call a learning system. So accountable to Congress and taxpayers.
Don't forget your bow tie. Good call, good call.
So we VA doctors are curious. We are open to being proven wrong.
Exactly, Kimba.
And we are committed to doing all.
If anyone argues with me, then they're science deniers. I have a lab coat. I'm right about everything.
So it's this commitment to learning that has made the VA a hotbed for innovation, a research powerhouse and America's largest health educator. And as a health educator myself, I'm going to pause here for just a second, though I know that the Dropkick Murphys have to get on.
Well, here come the Dropkicks.
This is a point of real pride. So every few weeks, or in a few weeks, as I do every July, I'll welcome a new class of residents from Stanford University to learn primary care at VA Palo Alto. And these young doctors represent America's best and brightest. They have hearts that we're called to serve. They have brains that I'd put up against any intelligence in Silicon Valley, whether artificial or otherwise. And every single one of them, like nearly every medical trainee in the country, will have the honor of learning their craft in a mission-driven, patient-centered, cost-effective, integrated American healthcare system. And every single one of them will be inducted as a part of their training in the art of healing the wounds of America's wars. And so I come to you today with a message of hope. Because these lessons, once they're learned, cannot be forgotten. I will never forget them. Regardless of politics or season, the VA, or rather Veterans Health Administration itself, will never die. It will live on as long as there are wars and wounds and doctors committed to healing them. Eliminate one of us, and there will be an army behind him, ready to take his place. And so while we are disturbed by the events of recent months, we do not despair. While we are dismayed by those who would dismantle this gem of American healthcare, we are not deterred. And while we are disappointed by those who would take this public treasure, built up by generations, by many hands, working long nights in dark hospitals, and sell it off in the name of choice or modernization or efficiency, for profit or political gain, or perhaps out of loyalty to some ideal of private sector competition, we are not defeated, because if you want competition on a fair playing field, I have 3 words for you. Bring it on. And for you veterans, I have the same 3 words. Bring it on. Bring on your pain and bring on your suffering. Bring on your trauma and your addiction. Bring on your homelessness. Bring on your toxic exposures. Bring on your cancer and diabetes, your amputations, your wounds of war, and your disease of the heart. We are here. We are waiting. We have been preparing our whole lives.
Jay, the Dropkick Murphys are like
in this moment.
a punk kind of band from the 90s.
Because we know,
and it's so punk to support the establishment,
makes to its veterans,
support the government.
A promise a doctor makes to his patients, and the promise a soldier makes to the Constitution are the very same promise. It's a promise that cannot be broken. It's the same promise that Lincoln made on this sacred, Abraham Lincoln made on this sacred ground 170 years ago, just 40 days before he was killed. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. To care for him who shall have borne the battle, and his widow and his orphan.
Yes, rage in favor of the machine, exactly.
A just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations.
Thank you, Doc. You all know what time it is? All right. I got it down for about 2 minutes, so we're going to do a little sign competition here. All right, I see this might be my favorite. I shouldn't lead with it. Taco. How do we like that one? Let's hear it for Taco.
Yeah, he wrote Taco on his sign.
That's in the crowd. You know what this one means? Foxtrot Delta Tango. Can you guess? Foxtrot Delta Tango. We got. All right, I'm trying to keep it not too political and a little PG. Stop this Nazi shit.
Not too political.
Oh, there's a good one. You know it's gotten bad when the teachers show up.
Teachers have nothing else to do, especially right now. They're not working.
The speaker's set up right now, but let me just say a word about Dropkick Murphys. This is a band that doesn't just talk the talk.
They walk the walk. They live their values. I think in my intro somebody mentioned that I'm a couple hours off the tarmac.
Reno, if you're a teacher, you're one of the good ones.
A couple of weeks.
There's damn few left.
And a convoy of ambulances and other relief vehicles because they need a lot of them. The average lifespan of an ambulance at the front in Ukraine right now is 11 days. 11 days because Putin's military targets them. You want to know who was with me on that convoy driving an ambulance? Ken Casey of the Dropkick Murphys. This is a band that walks the walk, and they sing it pretty well too, because we did an in-studio version.
Hong Hong, Wild
Who
Man.
Will Stand With Us. Keep your ears open, keep your eyes out. I'm sure that's going to come out soon, but I will share with you my small part in that. We obviously had Ken doing the lead vocals, and we had a bunch of military vets, U.S. military vets in that convoy from the Air Force, from the Army, from the Marine Corps, from the Navy, and we were the backup singers for the Ukrainian version of Who Will Stand With Us. And at one point, Ken put his arm around me and he said, "Hey, buddy," Ken as well, he said, "Hey, buddy, I love your enthusiasm, but can you back away from the mic a little bit?" All right, we're going to give the band another minute. How are we doing, team? We're good to go. Dropkick Murphys!
See how much they suck. This is so funny. Jay, that guy needs to drop kick a few pounds. But is the crowd not triggered by all these American flags? No one in the crowd has an American flag. They're all holding Canadian flags, Ukrainian flags, Mexican flags. I thought American flags were racist and triggering and scary. Drop kick cupcakes. Charles Sneed, it's worse. It's worse than Rage Against the Machine. It's the Dropkick Murphys. That's true, Jay. The band is all white. Not a whole lot of representation here. White men. No women, no minorities. Jay Baker's Dropkick Double Chin is my new band name. Charles Sneed, if you've never heard of them, don't worry about it. You're not missing anything. They were a shitty, forgotten band from the late 90s. Wow, man, that's true. These guys only exist for St. Paddy's Day. Yeah, what even were their, like, hit songs? I use the word hit very loosely. I don't remember any of these songs. I just remember, like, yeah, people would play this band and, like, drink a lot of beer on St. Paddy's Day. They are more elderly and fatter than Smash Mouth, yes. Shipping out to Boston, yeah, I guess. This is the resistance, guys. This is the resistance. The Dropkick Murphys. Hello, Corbusier. Hong Hong. Oh, it's shipping up to Boston, not shipping out to Boston? Yeah, shipping up to Boston. Enemy Bob, they paid them with beer. They overpaid them then. Named it. They're a frat party regional bar band at best. They were like, I mean, I once again I hesitate to say big. They weren't big, but like people had heard of them in the late '90s and like early 2000s. I think I saw them somewhere, but it was like at a festival where there were a bunch of bands playing, and they happened to be there. They're barely a footnote in the late '90s, 2000s punk scene. But yeah, they've gone full woke tard liberal. I mean, Blaine, yeah, they're big enough. The name is recognizable. I guess they were in a Scorsese movie since Wild Man Actual, and like that's that's big, I guess. But they weren't big, you know.
There's a song that's been sung many times over the years in the fight for the labor movement originally and the civil rights movement. And we're here to sing it again today for the fight of this generation's lives.
All right. There's some more clips of Cash going around on X. Cash on Rogan. I think it's from today, right? Wait, what? Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a man who was deported, is on his way back to the U.S. to face criminal charges for allegedly transporting illegal aliens. Whoa. I mean, what? Yeah, so here's some from Cash. Cash claims he was swatted. We already played that one. FBI says it won't release some of Epstein's videos. Of course not.
What about the video from the island?
Oh, that's sorry. So you're talking about two different things. So
sorry.
So yeah. So again, we're going to give you everything we can, and people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening, because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it. Period. Right. If I have it.
Is Cash claiming there were no felonies committed on Epstein Island? Well, then why was he in jail? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail?
So,
where else?
There's that cocaine.
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Everything we have so far is...
Have you guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
Right.
And
is there video from the island?
Not of what you want. The people out there have filled the void with can't wait to see X, Y, or Z.
Right, speculation.
And
Roussier, it's Ghislaine, and I will hear no slander otherwise. Cash Patel on the CCP. We're going to get them. I promise the president and the American people. Sure. All Cash and Dan Bongino do every day is go on talk shows, and now Joe Rogan, podcasts and talk shows. I'd love to see them actually do their job someday, but I won't hold my breath.
So fentanyl, right? Everybody's like, how do you attack fentanyl? How do you stop this stuff? Okay, yes, let's go after the gangs, the narco-terrorists down in Mexico. 100%. You got to go after the cartels, the drug trafficking organizations. You got to shore up the southern border. The president has done an amazing job at both of those things, made it a priority. So we have decreased the amount of fentanyl being moved around, let's say, right? But not necessarily coming into the United States. So where's the root of the problem? The CCP. So the fentanyl precursors, the stuff you need to make fentanyl, comes from mainland China. That's it. Now, I'm sure like 1% of it comes from somewhere else in the world, but that's where it comes. They've got hundreds of companies standing up in mainland China shipping this stuff out into the world. Now, their cover is that fentanyl has, and it does have a legitimate lawful purpose in terms of an anesthetic or medical use for anesthesiology related stuff, okay? So there's like a minimal use for it. And what the CCP has done is they've come out and said, this is like the biggest, like, talk about the devil pulling the wool over the world's eyes. They're like, we don't make fentanyl. They're right, they don't. They just give you all the ingredients for it and ship it to Mexico. And then what they did was, to trick the world, they came out and said...
Yeah, there's smoke rolling up next to him. He's in there doing blow and smoking joints with Joe.
We're going to not sell precursor...
They probably took some DMT before they filmed this podcast.
X. They're like, so now we're out of the fentanyl trade entirely. The problem is, there's 14 other precursors you can use to make fentanyl, and they're still shipping all of those. So what we did when I got to the Bureau is we stood up this massive enterprise to go after fentanyl precursor companies in mainland China. And they're probably not going to like that. And what they're doing now to get cute is they're shipping that stuff not straight to here. They're going to places like India, and I'm also doing operations in India. And they're having the Mexican...
The FBI has no jurisdiction in India. Or China. What?
Cartels now make this fentanyl down in Mexico still. You know, instead of going right up the southern border and into America, you know what they're doing? They're flying it into Vancouver. They're taking the precursors up to Canada, manufacturing it up there, and doing their global distribution routes from up there because we were being so effective down south.
Oy.
Yeah, it's a huge lift, but part of it is Americans just don't understand the depth and depravity of
Americans are too stupid to understand what we're doing. No, just too dumb, and you just won't get it. Fuck you, Cash.
Fentanyl, but what's worse is fentanyl. You don't hear fentanyl deaths in China. You don't hear fentanyl deaths in India. You don't really hear fentanyl deaths in England, Australia, New Zealand, our Five Eyes partners in Canada. The Chinese, in my opinion, the CCP, have used it as a directed approach because we are their adversary, and they don't like us, and we don't like what they're doing when it comes to fentanyl. And their long-term game is this. How do I, in my opinion, kneecap the United States of America, our largest adversary? Well, why don't we go and take out generations of young men and women who might grow up to serve in the United States military or become a cop or become a teacher? And that's what they're doing when you wipe out tens of thousands of Americans a year. It's a long-term plan for them.
Oh, that is such a dark thing.
It is, but we're on it.
Canada has become a national security threat to the USA.
They're like, we don't make fentanyl. They're right. They don't. They just give you all the ingredients for it and ship it to Mexico. And then what they did was, to trick the world, they came out and said, hey, we're going to not sell precursor X. They're like, so now we're out of the fentanyl.
Just the same clip. Kash Patel on Dr. Anthony Fauci. It is of public importance to figure out, did that guy lie? Did he intentionally mislead the world and cause countless deaths? Okay, but wasn't Fauci pardoned for all crimes?
That's the type of work that I think gives credibility back to the Bureau, us exposing it, us giving Congress the truth, Congress coming back in and saying, hey, you actually didn't give us the Heisman, you gave us the documents, we gave them to the American people. And if there are criminal referrals to come out of that, then let's do that. I mean, we just had a great breakthrough this week on Fauci. So Senator Rand Paul, Senator Kennedy, and I hate naming names because I always forget people, are doing a great job with us on COVID origins, and we've got multiple investigations open on that. But they had always been looking for Fauci's original phone, or not original, but phones and devices he used while he was Fauci back in Trump 1 during COVID, and nobody had found it till 2 days ago.
Really?
Yeah. Now look, your audience and everybody listening to it shouldn't jump to the conclusion everything's in there. We'll look at it, we'll pull it, we'll rip it, as we say, and maybe it's deleted, maybe it's not, but at least we found it, and at least now we can tell the American people we've been looking, because it is of public importance to figure out, did that guy lie? Did he intentionally mislead the world and cause countless deaths? We owe those answers to the American people, and the best evidence ever is always the people's evidence who created it. And so now we're going to go and exploit those hard drives. But I think a victory for the American people that we broke with Congress is that we did find it. We're not done. We're still looking. And we're on the case.
Don't worry, guys. Kash is on the case. Apparently a guy pitching for a high school team won the state championship in Minnesota. Marissa Rothenberger, biological male, just single-handedly led Champlain Park to a 6-0 shutout to win the Minnesota Girls State Championship. Democrats have unironically proven that men are better than women. Or ironically, I guess I should say.
Two away, nobody aboard. The pitch is hit down the line, and it's caught. That's it.
His name is Cash App.
Win. And the Rebels are your 4A state champions of 2025. Rebels run the table in the state tournament. They finished 26-2, and they win this one 6-0. 6 runs, 13 hits, 1 error. The Jaguars.
Those girls over there going, I mean, how are we supposed to hit against that?
No runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. And the winning run, do away. Nobody.
Well, I guess they've turned the comments off on their post. Meet Champlain Park, the Class A softball state champions of Minnesota for 2025. Way to go, Marissa, dude. SpaceX just conducted a static fire of Booster 16 ahead of Starship Flight 10. Is Starship Flight 10 going off tomorrow?
Let's go.
I guess no announcement for Flight 10. So yeah, the Dropkick Murphy's still playing? What's going on? Wait, hearing in Washington and Homeland Security immigration raid in LA.
They're taking people out of immigration proceedings where they could have proven it. They're claiming they're keeping the American public safe, but as all the reporting is coming out, people did not have criminal convictions. They were not gang members. And so there's a lot of rhetoric, but very little proof.
Thank you, and I yield.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ivey. And now let me recognize Ms. Canlin for 5 minutes. They did call votes, so we'll try to get through as many as we can, but let's just stick to the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our witnesses for testifying today and for bringing some light and some facts that can help everyone understand that the actions undertaken by this White House are not lawful, orderly, or ultimately effective immigration enforcement. The rule of law and due process sound like fancy phrases used by lawyers and academics, but we're talking about basic fairness. I mean, it's really just about fairness, which I think everyone can understand. When we talk about the rule of law, we're talking about rules that prevent the government from taking your life, your house, or your freedoms without justification. And when we talk about due process, we're talking about you being able to defend yourself. Because what if the government is wrong? What if a government agent makes a mistake, as we've heard? Or what if someone lied for a personal grudge, as we have heard? Or what if someone is doing this for political reasons or to meet a work quota, which we've heard has been stepped up? Without due process, who is to say that the next person being loaded in shackles on a plane to El Salvador or to South Sudan is a citizen or not? Who's to say whether they are a criminal or a gang member or not? And without the rule of law, who is to say whether a person is a threat to our national security or just a threat to the personal fortunes of the White House? So we're seeing an un-American attack on the truth, on basic human rights, and on the law. It's a campaign of intimidation acted out by an administration that wants to use fear to accomplish objectives that it cannot accomplish by legal means, and that wants to, scare people out of standing up and speaking out against it. And all of this is being done on the American taxpayers' dime and at the expense of legitimate crime-fighting efforts. So, the chaotic and cruel actions of this administration are wreaking havoc on communities across the country, including my own. The Philadelphia region has welcomed immigrants, refugees from war and hate and religious discrimination and economic despair since before our country was established. And those people contributed immeasurably to our national economy, our culture, to innovation, and to our nation's vibrancy and success. So, in this district and many others, this administration is tearing families apart. We're seeing masked and unidentified agents and unmarked cars prowling our neighborhood streets, undermining public safety. We're seeing our small businesses losing employees and customers because people are afraid to go to work or to shop. We're seeing children missing school because family members are at risk. And friends and neighbors are being disappeared to countries they've never seen. Our communities are
they've never seen those countries.
Citizens, including law firms and businesses and academic institutions and even elected officials being scared to speak out for fear of attracting the attention of the thugs who are abusing the powers of our government with these un-American tactics. A sickness seems to infect this administration, a cancer from within that confuses cruelty with strength and confuses recklessness with power. But attempting to govern by fear earns only disgust from our allies and contempt from good people all across this country and around the world, and it betrays the very values that actually make this country great. So, Mr. Gallant, of course, the rule of law is not an abstract concept. It's a living, breathing principle that protects all of us. So in your testimony, you spoke of the false choice between allowing foreign criminals to roam our streets at will and using our government to break U.S. law, undermine the Constitution, and violate fundamental rights. Can you talk about why ensuring an immigrant's right to due process is so important to everyone, including to native-born citizens whose families have lived in this country for generations?
She looks like the sister of
I just want to hit on
Tales from the Crypt Keeper guy.
About you saying these are not sort of technical, abstract points.
No.
You know, I think the American public may sort of never not understand always what due process exactly means, but if you said to them, I'm going to accuse your friend of doing something, and the minute they try and tell me, no, I didn't do that, I'm not going to let them speak. They understand that, the ability not to defend yourself. And you say, well, that's what due process means.
Right.
They get that. And so I think protecting immigrants, I mean, both the history of our country, obviously the history of immigration is so critical, but immigrants are intertwined with our communities. And you also go to the other end of the spectrum. Who's to say that there's no citizens in CCOT now? What's to protect that, right?
Yeah.
And so they're just picking people up based on tattoos. We have put expert testimony in court saying that it's
we're picking people up based on tattoos.
To know who's a gang member. This is a loose affiliation. There's no formal structure. There's no way to identify people by tattoos, yet there are over 200 men sitting in that CCOT prison who may be there the rest of their lives based on some ICE officer saying, I saw some tattoos. Those could be citizens, those could be people, family members, those people have children, they have families, and I think you're exactly right. We're talking about the administration just wanting to say, look how tough we are. But being tough doesn't mean being cruel, and it doesn't mean making mistakes or violating the law.
Well, that certainly, I see my time is up, but that is a question I've been asking in my town halls. How many people here have tattoos? Because without due process, you're at risk.
Thank you so much, Ms. Scanlon. I now recognize Mr. Takano for 5 minutes.
Thank you. The United States government incarcerated my parents and grandparents during World War II. They were Americans, citizens of Japanese descent who were forced from their homes, stripped of their dignity, and imprisoned behind barbed wire. They suffered this treatment not because of their actions, but because of their ancestry. Wartime policies like Executive Order 9066 and the Alien Enemies Act allowed the government to lock up more than 125,000 Japanese Americans based on suspicion and ancestry alone. No charges, no due process, no justice. Now, 80 years later, we're watching history repeat itself. Today, people like my family, people who had not been charged with any crime, are again being rounded up without due process. The administration is disappearing individuals without due process in defiance of court orders. They are ripping people from their homes, communities, and putting them on secretive flights and sending them overseas, including more than 280 individuals sent to the brutal Sikot prison in El Salvador without so much as a hearing. Public attention must be paid to Andre Jose Hernandez Romero as he has been forcibly removed without due process. Andre is a gay Venezuelan makeup artist and asylum seeker who was forcibly disappeared without due process. Andre entered the United States legally, fleeing persecution for his sexual orientation and political beliefs. He passed initial asylum screening and had no criminal record, yet without warning or due process, he was forcibly removed to El Salvador and imprisoned in the notorious Sikot facility. The evidence against him A couple of crown tattoos above the names Mom and Dad, symbols of his love for his hometown, Three Kings celebration. Andri's case exemplifies the dangers of unchecked executive power, of what happens when the rule of law is pushed aside. The American people must not look away or let this government undertake these actions in our name. We cannot allow fear to override due process or let suspicion stand in for justice. We cannot normalize cruelty, lawlessness, or the spectacle of human beings used and abused for political gain. This is more than a deportation scandal. We are in a full-fledged constitutional crisis engineered by Trump to test the limits of presidential power and the resolve of our democracy. When the government abandons constitutional rights for some, it endangers the rights for all. I know what happens when that line is crossed. My family lived it, and I will not stand by while it happens again. Can you tell me, Mr. Giller, to answer the question to some of people who've responded to my comments in public, isn't due process only for American citizens? Why is due process extended to immigrants or asylum seekers?
Yeah, I think that's an important question. And the reason is because our Constitution uses the word citizens in certain places, but it very clearly uses the word person, not citizen, in the due process clause. And so the Supreme Court has said over and over for centuries, because the founders used the word person, it applies to everyone. And the Supreme Court had to tell the Trump administration twice in the last few months in the context of the Alien Enemies Act, these individuals are entitled to due process, and this 12 to 24 hours thing you're doing of telling people in the middle of the night you're going to be removed in the morning, you have 12 hours to find a lawyer, doesn't float. But that's why, because the Constitution made a very clear decision. We are going to give due process to everyone.
Thank you. I'm going to yield back and not use all my time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tucano. Last but certainly not least, let me yield to Ms. Ballant for 5 minutes.
I really want to thank the ranking member, Ms. Jayapal. This is so critically important for so many of us. We are enraged and disgusted by what the Trump administration is doing, and I want to start with that. So we're now 6 months into this administration's campaign to detain, deport, criminalize immigrants across this country. Trump, Noem, and Rubio continue to distort the law to justify abducting children, families, and innocent people. Their abuses are shocking, and we have U.S. citizens sent to foreign prisons. We are seeing attempts to terminate the foundational principle of birthright citizenship. And what strikes me the most, and other speakers have talked about this, is the psychological dimension of this terror campaign. This is about spreading fear. This is about insisting on silence. It is about consolidating power. We know, they know, and judges know that Trump's moves are violating the law. But Trump doesn't care and continues to ignore judicial orders. What he does care about is the message that these actions send. The message, be afraid and trust no one. We've seen this play out in my home state of Vermont. Illegal arrests designed to spread fear and uncertainty, deception by federal immigration officials to mislead people who are making an honest effort to comply with federal law. On April 14th, Mohsen Madawi, a green card holder and Vermont resident for over a decade, entered a local U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services office for what was supposed to be his last hearing, the last step in the process. And instead, he was arrested and detained by masked, hooded agents and taken in unmarked vehicles. It was all a setup, happening in our name. He was lured there under the guise of being there in his last step of the citizenship process. He followed all the rules, and yet it did not matter. Mohsen Madawi is like Mahmoud Khalil, another green card holder, who was snatched away in front of his pregnant wife and sent away to an ICE detention facility in Louisiana, hundreds of miles away from his family and home in New York. Again, it is about psychological torture. Make no mistake about this. And he is still being held unjustly. The same strategy plays out by sending people to prison camps in El Salvador. And yes, Mr. Gallant, it is a gulag. By threatening to drop people into far-off countries that are experiencing instability and conflict, Trump is leaning in on fear. In response, we must lean on the strength of our communities. We have to stay faithful to the law and insist on due process for every person in this country. And I want to stress that wins can happen. A day after I led my colleagues in demanding Mohsen's release in front of the State Department, we were elated to hear that a federal judge in Vermont ordered his release on bail. I want to thank all the witnesses for taking time today. I'd like to put a question out to the group with the time that I have remaining. And I'll start with Ms. Guzman. What?
All right, everyone. So you are watching live now from Fox, that hearing on migrants' rights. But we do want to show you just some playback. Moments ago, President Trump leaving the White House, boarding Marine One, where he will then take Air Force One to New Jersey for the weekend. But just wanted to showcase this to you. President Trump not taking any questions from the media, and boarding Marine One there right on the lawn of the White House. Here is a live look right now of President Trump and Marine One, and it looks like the shot is going to get a little bump there, but we'll be keeping an eye on that for you. If President Trump does make any remarks a little bit later, we'll be bringing that to your attention.
U.S. House passes a bill 217 to 190 that prevents non-citizens from receiving taxpayer-funded SBA loans. All 190 no's were Democrats, of course. How were non-citizens getting taxpayer-funded SBA loans in the first place? Why did we need a bill for this? And of course Democrats want to protect non-citizens. Oh, was Bondi giving a press conference? Hang on. Breaking news! Breaking news! Break news! Dropkick Murphys are still on.
I want to make this point that I'm so proud of everyone here, and we can see so many people. We got different hats, different groups.
Bondi gives remarks as Kilmar Abrego Garcia is set to return to United States. Hong Hong Lin.
There's a lot of funny hats. There's a lot of organizations that should be here standing up. I want you to go back and get involved, because if we're not going to get stood by our groups and our organizations, we have to start to organize and gain that. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Ken, thanks for standing with us on this stage.
Fucking Dropkick Murphys! My Irish heart right now is beating 1,000,000 miles an hour. That was amazing. I think we got a party going now. I think so. I think they can hear us. What do you guys think? I'm sorry, what was that? Can they hear us? Hell yeah, they can. Like Will said, this is no longer just a moment. This is the movement. I need you to stay involved. I need you to get involved at community level all the way up Look to the person to your left, to your right. We are here together. Power is with the people. Yes. Never underestimate the power of the people. Stay connected. Get to know each other. This is why we are here. This movement would not be possible if it wasn't for the grassroots organizers. This is now spread across 50 cities across the country. We need to keep that momentum going. So when you leave here today, stay involved, stay connected, and stay in the fight. I have the honor and privilege of introducing one of those grassroots organizers today.
What game, Jay Davis?
Is he here? Good. I don't know if we're ready for him yet. It's cool. At least the sun's not out and kicking our ass anymore. Okay, we got Carlos. So
this lawsuit is but the first salvo. We are coming for you. And for the financial, media...
The Proud Boys are suing the government for $100 million.
Your reckoning awaits. We are no longer on the defense.
Or anyone arrested for, I guess, a group of some people that were arrested for
Sweep
J6.
aside all who obstruct our path to justice. Thank you. We will not back down. The fight begins now. And some words from our attorney.
Just to briefly address you, one of the main reasons that I took this case was because
Proud Boy leaders pardoned by Trump sue over January 6 convictions.
Administration is a shame to our forefathers and the legal system that they got from England, the common law system, where it is designed around people getting fair trials quickly, not being punished before they're convicted. The government not being allowed to invent or alter evidence and face no consequences. Fair and impartial trials. These things are the bedrock of our legal system, and the 4 years under President Biden almost certainly critically, if not mortally wounded the legitimacy of the American legal system. What I saw happen to the J6 people, and in particular to my clients, indicates to me that there's a lot of muck that needs to be raked out of the stables of the Department of Justice, and I hope that this lawsuit is the first step to bringing back an equal application of the law to all American citizens. Thank you very much, and I appreciate your time and attention, and if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
I have a question for Enrique. Enrique, were you frustrated that the mainstream media is getting the back of illegal aliens due process when they didn't get your back when you were politically persecuted and in jail for 4 years pre-trial?
We've seen Democratic senators bend over backwards and fly to other countries for criminal gangs and terrorists. And they did not even flinch when they sentenced me to 22 years and my brothers to 18, 17, 15, and 10 years, and across the spectrum of other J6ers. So to them, they're playing a political game. There was hostages in this country. It's not about any other country today, and that's why this lawsuit is so important to bring back law and order into our system.
Thank you.
What are you seeking, money damages or a key TAM action? Or what?
Well, we brought Bivens action and malicious prosecution accounts. Depending on how things play out, I might bring state law malicious prosecution counts and amend the complaint. I don't know yet. It's going to matter what information comes out and what we get as we move along with litigation, and how cooperative the United States government is going to be with our suit. We are seeking compensatory damages because the 4 years that these people spent wrongly imprisoned not only destroyed businesses, hurt families, and caused them to live below the poverty line. They caused medical problems. Two of my clients were not properly taken care of while in prison. They weren't given the proper medication. They weren't properly diagnosed, and as a result, they have developed long-term and potentially lifelong medical conditions that obviously are going to need to be compensed by the government because they're the ones who caused it. There are the loss of federal benefits. We have a veteran among our plaintiffs who fought for our country and deserves deserves his veterans benefits and his help with his medical conditions that
undertook when he was overseas, when he got them overseas. So we're asking for compensatory damages, but more importantly, we're asking for punitive damages. Punitive damages are designed to be based on hurting the person who did the wrong, not to specifically recompense the damage done to the plaintiff. And the reason why it's important to do that is because you have to wrap wrongdoers on the knuckles. They have to feel it. And we asked for $100 million in punitive damages against the federal government because I want them to feel it. We want them to feel it because this sort of thing cannot continue.
Now you say, do you have any specific named defendants within the government, specifically any legislative actors that had a role in the weaponization against your client and others, such as the Speaker of the House, such as the General Counsel of the U.S. Capitol Police leadership? Yesterday, it was just announced that a new Capitol Police chief has been selected. And are you going to be going after that institution as well as any of the others, such as the executive branches, DOJ, and the courts?
So we're going after, well, I don't know that we can go after the courts, but this suit does include FBI agents in the Department of Justice and the prosecutors who are among the does 1 through X, I through X, that haven't been identified because I don't know everyone who was involved in what happened yet. That's why we need to do discovery. But in terms of bringing in action against the legislator, that's a difficult question because of specific constitutional protections that legislators and legislatures have. In a lot of ways, they're unaccountable, and there's not a lot I can do in any suit against them. I'm open to trying to develop a legal theory that might let us do that, but right now, no. And I'm a big believer in, like, I'm asking for a certain thing, I want a certain thing, we're going a certain direction. I'm only going to hit the targets that are in my direct line of sight. So if I could bring the legislature in, but then what if that causes the litigation to go on for another year? Right, because I have to now deal with all these legislature issues. I'd much rather just stick to the focus. The DOJ and the FBI violated my client's constitutional rights. People involved need to be punished, and my clients need to be recompensed for that injury.
Is this impromptu park closure related to the press conference here? Do we know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We have no idea. It could have been any number of things.
No,
Yeah.
no, I believe that and this is, again, speculative, but I think the president taking off and some issues that had to do with it. That's why we were moved.
Is this separate from the class action suit?
Yes, it is. I'm not aware of the class action suit right now. We're focused.
Well, Lynn Garcia's coming back to face charges apparently, but Pam Bondi is about to come on and talk about that. So that's what this is.
The suit encourages those J6ers to also take action against the federal government, those people that wronged them, those people that put them in chains, those people that tortured them and made them hostages for the previous 4 years.
Still have.
You were at Lamont's sentencing hearing this morning. Do you have any comments on what you saw today or what the outcome was?
The anti-Trump rally going on.
What I saw today was prosecutors that should have been fired on day 1. The judge lied while sentencing them and said that she had no idea who I was until I showed up in her courtroom. That's a lie. In 2019, I had run-ins with the judge multiple times. She knew exactly who I was. He was sentenced to 18 months. The government was asking for 48 months, which is a loss from the government, but it's 18 months too long. He also got 18 months of probation. It's 18 months of probation too long. I think as of right now, I hope and I request, because it's at his discretion, the president signs a pardon for Shane Lamont, Lieutenant Shane Lamont, because he was politically persecuted, and it is a J6 case. They didn't go after him until I put him on the witness list.
And in fact, if I may just real quick, included in the complaint is the fact that before he was set to testify in defense of Enrique, 2 unidentified FBI agents came to his home, knocked on his door, asked him about the trial, and told him, "We're investigating you for obstruction of justice," and intimidated him so he felt he could not testify. And even though he withdrew and did not testify, they still decided to prosecute him, even though he bowed to their wishes. And I completely understand why he would do that. I'm not blaming the man. It's a travesty. The FBI should not be rolling witnesses over. It's not the witness's fault, it's the FBI's.
It's witness intimidation and obstruction of justice, and poetically, it's obstructing an official proceeding, which is a court proceeding, which is what we got charged with, the 18 U.S.C. 1512, which the Supreme Court overturned for us. But in this case, as it's written, I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe it does fit the crime that we saw from those FBI agents that did, and the members of DOJ that went and knocked on the door.
Enrique, are you frustrated that the Department of Justice, Pam Bondi, and the FBI are still full of people that
trust the president's judgment. I've had my, you know, I like any citizen, I do have my grievances with some of the things that she's done. But again, I trust her because the president trusts her, and I believe she, in this case, the DOJ is going to do the right thing because it is the right thing to do, not just because she was appointed by the president. This is the right thing to do, period. And that's why we're bringing this suit. So it's not political. This isn't a political thing. We got our lives taken from us, and we basically got handed life sentences. All of us, in this case, got handed life sentences for crimes that we did not commit.
To follow up procedurally, do you have any named defendants? Or is it just broadly the DOJ and the FBI?
We've named the United States of America, Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Nicole Miller, who took it upon herself to make it her personal crusade to torture my clients and their families, and she admitted as much on cross-examination, as well as in produced documents that show inter-FBI communications regarding what she was doing.
Good afternoon. We're here today to announce a major update in an important case. Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling in violation of Title 8 U.S.C.
Well, I guess Democrats are getting what they want.
We want to thank
Garcia's coming back to the U.S.
for agreeing to return Abrego Garcia
so we
to
can
the
throw him
United
in prison.
States. Our government presented El Salvador
Will he
with
be
an
deported
arrest warrant,
after?
and they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges. This is
that's the
what
Maryland man
American
that was
justice
hideous.
looks like. Upon completion of his sentence, we anticipate he will be returned to his home country of El Salvador. The grand jury found that over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job, not a contractor. He was a smuggler of humans and children and women. He made over 100 trips, the grand jury found, smuggling people throughout our country. MS-13 members, violent gang terrorist organization members throughout our country. Thousands of illegal aliens were smuggled. This is especially disturbing because Abrego Garcia is also alleged with transporting minor children. The defendant traded the innocence of minor children for profit. There are even more disturbing facts that the grand jury uncovered. It is alleged this defendant is part of the same smuggling ring responsible for the death of more than 50 migrants in 2021 after the tractor trailer overturned in Mexico. This is part of that same ring.
Mexico.
The defendant abused undocumented alien females, according to co-conspirators who were under his control while transporting them throughout our country. This defendant trafficked firearms and narcotics throughout our country on multiple occasions. They were using vehicles, SUVs, with added seats in the back, floors that had been ripped out, guns, narcotics, children, women, MS-13 members. That is what the grand jury found. A co-conspirator alleged that the defendant solicited nude photographs and videos of a minor. A co-conspirator also alleges the defendant played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. These facts demonstrate Abrego Garcia is a danger to our community. We want to thank the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, our state and local partners, our acting U.S. Attorney Robert McGuire, and prosecutors from the Joint Task Force, Vulcan. Questions?
Attorney General, the traffic stop that we've seen video of from Tennessee, where Alberto Garcia was first identified by the local authorities. At the time, the Homeland Security Department declined to take custody of him. What has happened in between that time and in between the time that the government has been arguing that he was not returnable from El Salvador? What has happened since in this investigation that brought you here?
Yes, the question was in 2021, there was the traffic stop. And what has changed since then? What has changed is Donald Trump is now president of the United States and our borders are again secure. And thanks to the bright light that has been shined on Abrego Garcia, this investigation continued with actually amazing police work. And we were able to track this case and stop this international smuggling ring from continuing.
Recently found facts, right?
Yes, okay. Recently found facts.
Explain when this investigation was opened, the investigation in Tennessee. Can you say when that investigation was opened?
Well, the grand jury indicted on May 21st. This investigation has been ongoing.
In your mind, does this resolve that issue in terms of his deportation? And should this be seen in any way as complying with the judge's order to return him to the U.S. and the Supreme Court ruling that the U.S. government should facilitate his return?
There's a big difference between what the state of play was before the indictment and after the indictment. And so the reason why he is back and was returned was because there's an arrest warrant, which was presented to the government in El Salvador. So there's a big difference there. As far as whether it makes the ongoing litigation in Maryland moot, I would think so, but we don't know that. This, he just landed today.
Jake, CBS. I just want to confirm what you said earlier, that you're intending to prosecute him and keep him in an American prison if he's found guilty, and then would remove him after his sentence is over.
Correct. Yes, he will be prosecuted in our country, sentenced in our country if convicted, and then returned after completion of his sentence.
Okay.
Sadie, Wall Street Journal.
Okay. I have two. One's on topic, one's off topic. Maybe I misunderstood you, but you were mentioning, that he had some involvement in a murder, or was connected to groups that had, involved with this other smuggling ring. But to be clear, the only charges he's facing right now are the, human smuggling charges. Just that's the one offense. But the other things that you have talked about are not actually in the indictment.
No, co-conspirators allege that. And we were clear to say that he is charged with, it's not only very serious charges of alien smuggling. And again, there were children involved in that. Human trafficking, not only in our country, but in our world, is very, very real. It's very dangerous. And as you saw recently in Virginia, the arrest we made of the MS-13 member, unrelated to this, we learned at that press conference, that's where they bring young children into our country and they start grooming them at middle school age to become MS-13 full-fledged members, commit violent crimes throughout our country. It is highly organized. It is very dangerous. And they are living throughout our country, but no more, because they are being arrested, they are being prosecuted, and being convicted and deported when appropriate. That's all for today. Thank you.
That's all? Okay. Well, that did answer my question that, okay, they're bringing him here to face these charges. They're going to convict him and then send him back to El Salvador. Seems kind of pointless, but I guess it's a big fuck you to the Democrats. Back to our anti-Trump Dropkick Murphys concert.
Thank you.
turnout. First off, I want to say a huge thank
Wow,
you
what a
to
turnout.
make this afternoon
There's like
possible.
100-something boomers here.
To get the chance not only to speak today in my capacity as a senator, but also to listen to all of you, as one of you, as a fellow veteran. Because I may currently be a member of Congress, but in my heart, first and foremost, I will always be a soldier. And I am damn proud of that. I am here today because, like you,
Cash, you think it's a
love
fake
this
wheelchair?
nation. In fact, I love it more than I did.
J. Davis, drop kicks are out of there. Evening news starts in 50 minutes.
To defend this nation when this nation calls.
They can't miss Jeopardy. Wheel of Fortune's on. We gotta get home.
That you are here because, like me, we are sick of politicians promising to look out for veterans when they are on the campaign trail and then abandoning them when they take office. I am sick of military families.
Then there's shit going on tomorrow?
Like props. And I am sick of people in power wrapping themselves in the flag with their
I actually have like
and then with the other signing
nothing
off
really
on
going on
papers
tomorrow,
to allow our
so
heroes to line their own
if we get
pockets.
protests and marches and stuff,
You deserve better.
I can actually stream.
You've earned better. After all, since the first shots rang out at Lexington and Concord, since the Tuskegee Airmen took the skies to defend a nation that still wouldn't let them sit in the same lunch counter as their white peers, since the members, the Nisei Battalion, volunteered to serve even as the nation put their families into internment camps, since our warriors landed on the beaches of Normandy on this very day 81 years ago, those who have worn the uniform have defied the odds to define America at her best. America is what she is today because of the blood our brothers and sisters shed in combat zones. Our children grow up with the rights that they deserve because of the sweat that's poured down our faces, everywhere from the dust of Fallujah and Kandahar to the jungles of
The
Vietnam.
sweat that's poured down your
Our
faces.
sacrifices were the currency we paid.
Oh, it's
to
Pride
defend
stuff
America's
tomorrow,
freedom.
Lynn? Oh.
And even as I stand here
Less
on these
interested.
titanium legs, with the wheelchair that I proudly earned by my side, I would not take back those sacrifices in a second. Because America is worth it. As flawed as she may be, she is worth it. I know some of us here hung up our uniforms long ago, but looking out at you all, I see people who recognize that in this perilous moment for our country, our mission today is not too different than what it was when we served in uniform. To defend the Constitution, to protect this democracy, to defend freedoms, and to keep our nation as strong as she should be. That is why each of you here today took off work, traveled from every pocket of this country, and showed up in this wonderful muggy heat today. It's not even a dry heat. Not because it was easy. Guys, it's never easy. But because we love this country enough to try to shape her for the better, even when the road ahead is hazy, even when the task ahead is daunting. We've come together this afternoon because even if we're no longer wearing the uniform, we are always wearing the flag on our shoulder, facing forward. We are here because we are not afraid to call out the wrongs that need to be righted, or to call out wannabe kings that need a history lesson.
Yay! She said the line!
We are here because we refuse to see the democracy that we fought so hard for get dismantled. Because we refuse to let the health care and benefits our buddies rightfully earned be gutted. And because we refuse to let thousands of veterans who choose to continue serving this nation as federal workers be fired for no apparent reason. Of the over 6,000 veterans this president has fired, it includes folks who were working at the Veterans Crisis Line, for God's sake.
For God's sake, I can't. What are we gonna do?
The veterans there are doing doing some of the toughest work imaginable to support our heroes in their absolutely darkest hour. These are the people the administration has kicked to the curb over the past few months. That should tell you everything you need to know about how the guys in power actually feel about us vets. So let's be clear, the only reason they're doing all of this is to try to pick our veterans' pockets, our taxpayers' pockets, so that they can give even tax breaks to the rich guys they pal around with on their golf courses. Let me say this another way. They care more about making billionaires, allowing billionaires to buy yet another private jet than ensuring that our veterans have access to the benefits that they have earned. They care more about stroking Donald Trump's ego. Old aerosol pilot guys. They have to censor me. Anyway, they're stroking Donald Trump to the tune.
Are they all clapping about Donald Trump's penis right now?
You know what they should do? I asked the Secretary of the Army yesterday, why would you do that? He said, well, you only get to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday once. And I said, well, wouldn't it be better to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday by spending $30 million on military families' child care?
Oh, right.
Maybe,
as if Democrats wouldn't be having a big parade.
Jobs. Or how about making better access to health care for veterans? So let's call what it is. This budget bill is a middle finger to our heroes. Where's that middle finger? Raise that thing high. It's a slap in the face to the sacrifices that our veterans have made. Frankly, it's bullshit. And every one of us who serve should feel insulted. I certainly do, and I bet some of you do too. They're even firing fully trained, fully qualified members of our military who are parts of teams who are trans.
Blaine said, I bet her blinker's just blinking in the parking lot alone right now.
Didn't earn his other than by sucking up to Donald Trump. I say keep the trans service members and fire Pete Hegseth.
Yay! Woo!
Listen.
Yay, gay!
The important thing now is to channel our outrage into action. A couple months after my Black Hawk was shot down in Iraq, a United States Senator named Dick Durbin walked into my Walter Reed hospital room and gave me his phone number, saying to call him anytime if I or any of the other patients around me needed some help. I'm not sure that he thought I would take his words quite literally, because there was only 2 service members from Illinois at the time, but I called him anyway. A lot.
Or him, she looks like a magic trick standing there. That's true.
I was the highest ranking amputee on the ward, and I had a lot of senior NCOs who were also amputees. So we all felt responsible for the men and women around us. So I kept on ringing up a United States Senator to help me help these folks get their pay, get their benefits, even to help get that one damn elevator in the hospital we needed to take to go to 07 formation in our wheelchairs working again. At that point, I know, we're in wheelchairs and they're making us go to 07 formation. Fuck that.
Lynn, yeah, I mean, I was talking about that earlier, all these flags. But there's more Canadian and Ukrainian and Mexican flags here in the crowd than there are U.S. flags.
He saw past the wheelchair. He saw a soldier in need of her next mission.
But yeah, Democrats are trying to rebrand themselves as the pro-America party.
To serve my nation.
They're really centrists and they're very patriotic.
Words that changed my life. He told me that I could best help veterans around me by running for Congress myself. I thought he was nuts, but it turns out he was right. So all these years later, I am asking each of you to take on that new mission too, and many of you already have. Because personally, I am sick and tired of a guy who was never brave enough to serve, claiming that America, that some of our buddies died for, isn't already great. And it pisses me off That a man who cried burn spurs when his nation needed him the most.
Are they really using 2016 rhetoric?
Who calls fallen service members suckers and losers. It pisses me off that that guy would use our heroes as political pawns to get elected, then screw them over so badly once he took office. So if you are pissed off too, if you think veterans deserve better than to be fired by the thousands, if you think our buddies deserve more than to have their health care ripped away because Trump wants to put another dollar into a rich guy's pockets, well then I need you by my side. Let's make sure that our fields of fire overlap in this fight.
Dirk Cash, we needed him to go lose his legs in Vietnam, right?
I want you to think of today not just
that would have
as a
saved the
moment, but as
country.
the start of our new collective mission. A mission to stand up for the buddies we served with, to do right by the warriors who came before us, and to look out for all of those men and women still serving in uniform. Those young soldiers and sailors, those Marines and airmen and coasties who are ready to sacrifice everything at the drop of a hat.
Lynn, yeah, no, this crowd hates America. Someone shouted earlier, America is the bad place at another speaker. And it's like, okay, then why are you so mad that we're deporting people? Why do people want to come here so badly? Why are people clamoring to get into this country? If it's so bad and terrible and awful,
Let ourselves become disengaged.
aren't we doing them a favor by sending them home for free?
The reality is there will always be people in big fancy buildings who try to use their power to only look out for themselves.
Jay, America is apparently
But
fascist
there's
fluid.
3 things I know. First, the power of the people is always greater than the people in power. At least in this country. Second, those of us here today have never been too scared to take on a tough mission, especially when it means protecting the democracy that we fought so hard and long to defend.
Protect democracy!
And third, we veterans, we sure as hell would never leave a fallen comrade behind.
Comrade?
Was one of our buddies on the battlefield, or now one of the
They
folks
can't
who
help
were left
but
without
use their
care
socialist
today.
language.
So if we want tomorrow to be better than yesterday, we have to come together. We have to recognize that our voices do still matter. Then we got to use
No,
those
they
voices
don't.
to speak out, even if
Your voice
and
doesn't
actually,
matter.
especially when anyone tries to silence us. Let them try. Because we veterans have always been the ones helping to keep this nation as strong as she should be. And this moment is no exception. And along the way, you have my word that I will be there with you. We're in this together. And I will always live by the soldier's creed, never ever leaving a fallen comrade behind. It's an honor to call myself part of this team and to have you as my battle buddies in this fight. Thank you. God bless America.
Wow, well, it's a good thing I only have one cat then, Catnip. What?
Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Tammy Duckworth. Icon. Definitely one of my personal icons. Now, Unite for Vets, I have the privilege to introduce our next leader. He has over 30 years of service in the United States Navy. He has commanded ships, led operations globally, and now he is looking to shape the future of our nation's security through action, not just words. Please welcome to the stage a sailor, a strategist, and a statesman, Rear Admiral Michael Smith.
Good afternoon.
I guess.
My name is Mike Smith.
I guess Garcia is going to be here in Nashville. Is he already here in Nashville? He's going to be facing charges here in Nashville. Huh. I might have to. I bet there'll be protests here over this.
retired admirals and generals and senior enlisted, former ambassadors and cabinet secretaries and senior executives. Collectively, our members represent centuries of service to this country. Service that was forged through sacrifice, experience, and hard-earned lessons learned. And the most important of those lessons is this: when a nation breaks its promises with its veterans, it does more than betray its values. It weakens its security, and it undermines the readiness of its future armed forces. This is not an academic discussion for me. I stand here not only as a retired rear admiral, more importantly, I'm the son of a Vietnam veteran. I'm the son-in-law, the nephew, the brother-in-law, and the brother of Navy and Marine Corps veterans. Like many of you here, my life was shaped by the service and sacrifice of generations of veterans.
So were many others.
My father served in the Navy. He served until early 1980s. I remember when I was at the Naval Academy, I called him to talk to him about fleet readiness for his ships for a paper I was writing. The answers to his questions were sobering. His ships were undermanned, they were underfunded, and they were struggling. It wasn't due to the commitment of its sailors. It wasn't due to poor leadership. It's because the nation had turned its back on veterans. The public mood after Vietnam had shifted, and support for the military had faded. That conversation stayed with me. It was my first personal introduction to a national trend that unfortunately we've seen repeat over and over again. Our veterans return from Korea to silence. They return from Vietnam to scorn. These men and women didn't ask for parades. They needed care and opportunity and dignity. Instead, they were forgotten. The institutions they needed to rely upon were gutted or ignored. It took hard work and national leadership to turn that tide. During my time in service, our country started to learn from its lessons. It reinvested in its armed forces. It renewed its commitments, and it made a promise to future generations that if you raised your hand and volunteered to serve, your nation would always have your back. That was never more important than after the terrorist attacks on 9/11. We saw a new generation raise their hands, volunteer to serve in what would become the longest war in American history. Those young Americans believed in something essential. They believed that their country had their and their families' backs, that they would not become the next forgotten generation. And now, I stand here ashamed. I stand here in disbelief. I stand here shaking in rage because it appears
she's literally shaking, guys.
once again going to break its promises. We are hearing of proposals to gut the VA, to fire thousands of veterans from civil service, to politicize their positions that they earned. We're seeing the slow erosion of support being replaced by indifference, or worse, contempt. The fading echoes of "thank you for your
Eric,
service"
he's just so mad he can
are
stamp
being
his little
drowned
feet.
out by a new message that maybe veterans are, and I quote, "not fit to have a job." If together we can't stop this now, we risk repeating the mistakes we swore we would never make again.
What are those?
You know, after World War I, General John Pershing said of the fallen, "Time must not dim the glory of their deeds." That quote must apply not only to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, it must apply to those who've gone into harm's way. Let us not forget. Let us not repeat history's failures, and together let us ensure that time does not dim the glory and the obligations their deeds demand.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael Smith.
Yeah, that seemed really,
friends, I'm
really
excited about
pro-military.
this round of speakers. We got some powerhouses in the veteran community. Starting with Libby Jameson, Esquire. She's an attorney that served in the White House as senior advisor to Joining Forces, Dr. Jill Biden's initiative that supports military and veteran families, caregivers, and survivors. She is an absolute boss, and she never backs down
She's
when it
a
comes
boss
to serving
bitch.
families of our uniformed war fighters. Oh, and small flex, she was Military.com's 2019 Spouse Changemaker of the Year. Please welcome Libby Jameson, Esquire.
What a flex.
Thank you, Kate, for that lovely introduction. I should also add that I grew up as a proud Navy spouse and spent 20 years, or grew up as a proud Navy brat and spent 20 years as a Navy spouse. So go Navy. Thank you all for sticking around. I'm here to talk about an important fact that so many of us in this community know. That next to so many who serve in uniform are the families who serve and sacrifice right alongside them. For many of us, there's a common thread. You move to a new place, find a new job, new school, new friends, and just when you start to settle in, there's a new set of orders, and it's time to do it all over again. It is exhausting, am I right, families?
Yeah, fuck the guys who go over there and fight. It's really their wives who have it the worst.
1 in 5 military spouses cannot find a job, and it's not because they're unqualified. It's because of limited opportunities and outdated stereotypes.
Seems like they might be unqualified.
The next number. 1 in 5 service members report experiencing food insecurity. Let that sink in for a minute. Our military families, the very people defending our country, are struggling to feed themselves and their children. It's absolutely unacceptable. And lastly, no surprise, 1 in 3, the highest number ever of military spouses who support their service member leaving the service to find a new career. But these challenges don't end when the uniform comes off. Spouses need stable jobs, especially to support their families during the service member's transition to civilian life. But those pesky resume gaps can follow you around for years. As Kate said, I was honored to serve at the White House on Dr. Biden's initiative supporting military and veteran families, caregivers, and survivors. One of our proudest achievements was a June 2023 executive order on economic opportunity for military families that specifically made it easier for military spouses to get hired and keep federal jobs. A big win that made it easier. That work was personal for me as a former VA employee.
I feel like they're losing the crowd. All this crowd wants to hear is Trump is bad.
I was able to keep working
and
when we PCS'd, and it was the first
I guess they're over. They're done with the Elon hate.
to get promoted.
Trump is bad. Republicans are fascists. Nazi, Nazi, Nazi.
In a meaningful way. Yeah, federal jobs, yes. But now, as we've been talking about today, that progress that so many people fought for is being undone, and thousands of military families in federal jobs are in jeopardy. Remote government jobs that give military spouses stability are under attack. Flexible work options needed especially during a service member's trainings and deployments are being denied, and currently serving families who already have so much uncertainty.
Strowman, yeah, this is not good out of 10 as an anti-Trump thingy. It was more anti-Trump earlier, but after the Dropkick Murphys came on,
some are being raised,
seemed to have lost its luster.
others are being given conflicting guidance on telework.
Eric, yeah, she really sucked the air out of the room. Yeah.
Are not clear. So let me be very clear. Firing talented military family
Strowman,
members
everyone's
is
waiting for
wrong,
their
and
lift
it's
to
bad
arrive.
for our national security. And you should be hearing that directly from those impacted military spouses today. But you're not, because they're being silenced by fear.
Huh?
Fear that they will hurt their service members' careers, and fear of losing a chance to returning to public service themselves. That fear should not exist, not in a country that they sacrifice so much to support. Military families deserve leaders who have their backs, not ones who pay lip service to their sacrifice while actually making life harder for them.
Like Biden? Like the Biden administration? Did the Biden administration have military members' backs when they abandoned them in Afghanistan and got 13 of them killed? Have you spoken to those family members?
Speak up on behalf of our families. We unite for veterans. We unite for military families. We unite for America. Thank you all.
That was a double Nazi salute.
Thank you, Libby.
Libby, double Nazi.
It's Kayla Williams. She's a combat veteran.
She just can't get enough of her.
Former VA leader. Yes, we know. A lot of people know. And one of the most powerful voices for military families in America. Kayla served in Iraq, and then she came home, and she never stopped
Blackbar,
serving.
few have the courage to hate the
Lift up
military
other
members.
female
Even fewer have the
veterans,
courage
thank
to
you,
hate the
sister.
spouses.
And demanding a system that sees us all. Please welcome the fearless and brilliant Kayla Williams.
Jay, that was Trump's fault. True. Always true.
Thank you so much for that generous introduction. It is so great to see all of you out there. Like you, I am fired up and ready to support our VA.
What's your VA?
So, I grew up poor.
Is that different
My single
than...
mom and I, we were always worried about getting evicted from our apartment, and we spent time on food stamps. Today, I own a home, and my kids never know that anxiety because of the home loan guarantee we got from our VA.
Okay.
My mom didn't graduate from college, but I have a master's degree because of the GI Bill that I got from our VA.
All right.
I served in the Army and deployed to Iraq with 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, and I wanted to keep serving our country. So I worked at VA running the Center for Women Veterans to make sure women could get equal care and access to services. VA gives women veteran moms 3 free nursing bras a year and other breastfeeding support. VA gives women veteran amputees prosthetics they can wear with high heels like Tammy had on, and prosthetics they can wear while doing CrossFit to support all their life needs. I have seen women veteran double amputees learning how to surf at the VA Summer Sports Clinic. Private insurance will never support that. Only one organization does that, our VA. And we have to protect those hard-earned improvements and prevent MAGA extremists and Doge bags from stripping our care and benefits. The Declaration of Independence asserts our fundamental human rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and I deserve to be able to get a life-saving abortion at our VA. But listen, I have to admit, VA doesn't just provide care for women. My husband sustained a penetrating TBI in Iraq from a roadside bomb. Shrapnel pierced his skull and went into his brain. When he was medically retired from the Army, he went to Johns Hopkins. You may have heard of it, one of the best hospitals in the world. You know what they told him?
You may have heard of it.
You don't know anything about blast injuries. You need to go to VA. Because VA is designed to support all aspects of veterans' healthcare, including those unique to us like combat trauma, toxic exposures, MST, and spinal cord injuries. But my group therapy for military sexual trauma was recently cut short because a therapist quit rather than risk being laid off during the massive cuts Secretary Collins is promising to make. I'm getting care elsewhere, and my new counselor asked me, what is MST? That would never happen at our VA. And that is why we are here today, to stand up and fight for the care and benefits that we have earned through our honorable service, and for the employees that provide those services. Employees, many of them union, 30% of whom are veteran themselves, are being purposefully put into trauma by dogebags who don't know anything about service or what government does for the people. Employees who are not allowed to even include in their signature blocks that they are veterans like us, who are not allowed to wear pride pins, who don't know if they'll be laid off tomorrow, who don't know if they'll have to work in a converted broom closet or provide mental health appointments from a cubicle farm. We are here to ensure that veterans of the next war come home to a system where they can get high quality, evidence-based, culturally competent care and benefits and burial. Our VA. They want to turn VA into an insurance card and force us to get care in the community, even though that care is lower quality. And
Looks like there might be a little protest happening in Los Angeles over an ICE raid.
A system where veterans can get comprehensive, integrated care and peer support, and where caregivers get support. A system conducting groundbreaking research that helps everyone, like the first liver transplant, the pacemaker, the nicotine patch, one that trains 80% of doctors and provides a backstop to the entire U.S. healthcare system in times of crisis. That system is our VA. We veterans made a contract with our government, and they owe us a strong Department of Veterans Affairs. I swore an oath to the Constitution, not a king, and I will always stand and protect and defend our rights. I am here with you today to stand up and demand that all veterans, including women and our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters, can safely access comprehensive care at VA.
Put in those white vans and taken from that location here that we're watching. We're not sure exactly where they're headed, not sure the nature of these investigations, but again, it's drawn a lot of protests, a lot of activists there on scene. Wondering if this is all tied to the immigration raids that we're seeing play out all across the country. A lot of controversy on that end, with people saying that, you know, you're seeing families being torn apart, and then there's the other argument that there is a legal process, and these are mandates that are being followed by the Trump administration to pinpoint those who are in this country illegally and removing them from our country. So again, there's a process that needs to play out, but this has been a familiar scene that we're seeing, again, not just here in California, across the country with these operations.
And we assume that whatever kind of raid was going on inside the building, that's probably been taken care of. But then again, we see these what we believe to be, you know, ICE officers still sort of setting up a perimeter to block the entrance. So, you know, there is a possibility maybe there is more people they plan to take away.
Could be more, and it could be the fact that they're trying to contain this crowd. You know, those people who were detained, they've since left this location, but the crowds remain. And so there's probably a level of uncertainty. Why are they still here? So they're perhaps just trying to have that containment area and see if this crowd will disperse. They obviously don't want things to escalate there on the ground. There are probably a lot of tempers that are flaring. We saw the close call a short time ago with that vehicle, or the vehicles, as they were leaving this location. So probably there is a precautionary measure, the law enforcement presence that we're seeing, waiting to see what happens next, if the crowds that we see there will disperse. We also saw, as those people were being detained, officers having electronic devices they were holding, they were removing them from the building. The nature of that's still unclear, but just something to note.
All right, again, it's still a lot of people standing around, and again, a lot of ICE officers continuing to set up that perimeter there to keep people out of the parking lot. And this looks like something that's probably going to play out for the rest of the afternoon.
I did see our news van in one of the shots a short time ago, so I bet we have a crew, if not already there, they're en route to that location. Hopefully we'll be able to learn more what is developing there on the ground, and to speak to those who actually witnessed this happen. You know, we're looking at it from above, from Sky 5, but just to encapsulate the emotions, you know, people who are there could be family members who are there could be colleagues. There are obviously advocates on the ground there, and hearing from them their concerns as to what has happened here.
Let's get back up to Rich Prickett in Sky 5. Rich, I mean, does it look like we saw, you know, about 15 minutes ago, we saw a lot of ICE officers going back into the building. Do you think they're still bringing more people out? Is that what they're setting up for here?
You know, I think they're just trying to get the rest of the agents out. This is mostly FBI at this point that are here, and they were probably collecting additional evidence from inside and just making sure that all their agents were out of the building before they disperse. So we are seeing a couple more agents that are making their way out of the building. As far as people that are being taken into custody, I believe for the most part, the people that they were targeting inside the building have been taken into custody and were taken away in those vans, and now it's just a matter of the remainder of the investigators and agents to leave the location. So, and that's what we're seeing here. They're starting to kind of wrap things up here. So I feel that this is going to basically wrap up here within the next several minutes, and ultimately we'll see the crowd kind of disperse, but it's just a matter of whether they are going to try and, you know, step in front of the vehicles once again as agents are trying to leave here, but mostly FBI at this point remain at the location. And you can see they're going to start to make their way probably further away from the gate here. These probably, whether or not there's any more agents that are left inside, I'm not entirely sure, but for the most part, they were just kind of making sure that everybody got out of the building safely and that they will start to make their way out of here. So you can see the vehicles that had responded here within the last 30 minutes or so are starting to make their way down Stanford and basically just kind of leaving the location, and the crowd walking alongside with those vehicles, and as well as that flatbed truck here that's been here protesting since this raid began a couple of hours ago in the Fashion District. So FBI agents still working here to clear the streets. We're seeing dozens of people here that are still refusing to move out of the way.
Yeah,
People
got a little bit of
down there,
shoving and pushing
by agents, but again, you know, what they're trying to do is just leave here. There's all the people that were detained are
I bet some of these people are live somewhere.
It's a matter of the FBI and
probably
possibly,
TikTok. Let me
Homeland
see.
Security investigators, if they're still here at the location, to leave the area. But as far as the operation inside the building, it looks to be concluded at this time. Just a matter of clearing the streets and everybody leaving.
Yeah, they're trying to clear those streets, Rich. But we know this is when things can really get out of hand. You know, we saw a little bit of pushing and shoving there, but these are tense moments here that we're watching.
Well, you now have protesters on both sides of these officers, and that's not a good situation.
Yeah, you certainly, you know, once they get surrounded here, it just makes things even more difficult. But you know, they are trained for situations like this. They will eventually make their way off the street, hopefully without another incident like we saw when somebody was partly ran over on the boulevard there. But here they are, they're starting to make their way back in another direction here. Agents on the ground still clearing people out of the way, and we have not seen anyone being taken into custody as far as at the street here. Only the people that were inside the building that were part of the raid earlier on. And so here they are trying to just kind of back their way out here with the big crowd that's outside. This truck here, I'm not entirely sure if it's FBI. It could be most likely here in addition with the tactical vehicles. So the gate we see is closed. So whatever was going on inside the building has concluded. The raid is done. The people that were of interest and taken into custody have left the scene here.
Like far. Is it National Donut Day?
The crowd here on Stanford.
Thank you guys for following. Gracias por seguir la cuenta. Gracias por darle like. Es lo único que les pido, que le den like.
Out of the way here.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He wants to get ran over. Este se quiere que lo atropellen este canijo.
Gas canisters being deployed here. Hopefully that's going to be necessary to help disperse the crowd. But for the most part, they are slowly making their way out from the location along Stanford here.
Rich, any particular guess on why they're going in reverse slowly instead of going forward here?
Well, I think that, look ahead here. There's cars, lots of congestion, flatbed there, up Stanford, closer to 9th Street, so it looks like they have a little kind of a, not really a clear path, but they're hoping that they can make their way basically down here to 10th Street, maybe here we go here. So trying to clear some of the cars here for those Bearcats so they can move out of here. So they're still trying to move some of these cars here on Stanford. It's already, a busy area here in the fashion district, as you might imagine, in the middle of the day. And now with all this going on, all the attention is getting more and more congestion down here. But they're just slowly maneuvering as best they can to make sure that the crowd stays safe, as well as the agents here as they work to make their way away from the location that was part of the raid earlier on.
And as we keep our eyes on this shot, I do want to mention a statement that LAPD Chief Jim McDonald put out this afternoon saying that LAPD became aware that ICE was conducting operations in the city of Los Angeles today. I'm aware that these actions cause anxiety for many Angelenos, so I want to make it clear the LAPD is not involved in civil immigration enforcement, while the LAPD will continue to have a visible presence in all of our communities to ensure public safety. We will not assist or participate in any sort of mass deportations. Again, a statement coming from LAPD Chief.
And that is pretty much been the position of the city mayor's office, as the chief pointed out, since 1979. Interested to hear the crowd advancing on what we believe to be ICE officers who are basically backpedaling with their hand on the shoulder of the officer in front of them as they partially turn back out of the street.
This is going to quickly escalate. This is going to. Esto se va a poner peor esta cosa ahorita. Nomás ayúdenme con los likes, por favor.
They certainly are, and they're slowly making their way out of here. And I believe this is all FBI at this point. I have not
the guy on the ground saying this is going to escalate. You got the news people saying it's about to end.
Is part of this as well. They may have left a little earlier on with the vans that we saw leave and the SUVs, but most of this now at this point is going to be the FBI that's slowly starting to make their way out of here on Stanford. You can see they're all climbing onto the Bearcat, and they're going to get a lift here down Stanford. They almost in the clear, just trying to make their way further and further from the crowd. Now let's take a look up ahead here to see what they're facing up Stanford. But agents were clearly they were slowly trying to maneuver the cars out of the way here, and it looks like they have been able to do that. Here's a LAPD squad car here that's rolling up on Stanford, but it doesn't look like they're going to get involved at this point. But here's a long line of the agents, as well as the crowd that's following them down Stanford further and further from the apparel store where the raid took place earlier on. And here they go. So they should be out of here within the next couple of minutes, but that crowd's still continuing to follow them.
Oh, somebody threw.
I believe we want to go now to someone we have on our phone lines, a representative with Union Del Body.
That guy over there threw a soda can at one of the officers.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Almost got out.
Your reaction to what's unfolding, what we're watching here with these operations that were conducted earlier, and the chaos that is.
Oh, she's just sitting down. Yo pensé que la habían golpeado, no, pues está sentada nada más. F1, cometen F1, cometen F1, cometen F1. Comment F1, cometen F1, comment F1. Comenten F1, please. Comment F1.
shooting spicy gas. Or maybe those are just little flashbangs. Yeah, there's not too much actual gas.
Alright, they all left. Ya se fueron. Ya se retiraron todos, ya se fueron.
Hell yeah! Let's go down in history, baby.
Is it?
Well, this is what was happening right now in downtown LA. This is Stanford and 12. La Stanford y la 12.
Raid took place earlier on, but all the agents, from what we can see, have now left the area and are making their way out of the downtown.
Yeah, it looks like they're free and clear at this point. And again, the LAPD
It was
said they would monitor the city.
It was a hit and run icing. They're not going to stick around for these troublemakers.
Federal government of law enforcement officials, what other agency, they have now cleared from the area. You see all those vehicles there moving away.
It's good to see them safely exiting.
The drive-by ice raid.
Crowds. Are they dispersing slowly? Are they still there? What's it like on that other side?
Yeah, just look. I can see the street.
I think we lost that guy that was streaming on the ground.
It certainly has thinned out. They made their way along Stanford for about a couple of blocks, but for the most part, it is starting to die down as we expected once the agents had left. So it seems fairly quiet on Stanford Avenue. We're just watching the agents here make their way through the downtown area back towards whatever location they have set up to further debriefing and whatever else they have. We're not entirely sure if there's any other raids that are planned for today. This was one of 3 that we saw just this morning alone. So we'll wait and see throughout the day. But FBI agents.
He says, "Hey, remember that day when Juan got his scooter run over by a bearcat? We made history."
All right, again, as Rich said, that was one of 3 ICE raids that we have documented this morning.
Over here at about 5 o'clock.
Of course, the last one
5 o'clock
ended
is where
up
I'm at.
beginning a very tense situation. We saw 2 vans of people that were being taken away. We have no idea what they're doing.
Vamos overheating, but everybody's leaving already.
But
ya todos están yendo.
Okay, our boys back up.
Pero ese tipo de actividad pues no se había visto, además aquí en Los Ángeles, primera vez, y lo estoy compartiendo con ustedes. First time seeing raids like this before. Never seen it like this before, and I'm here sharing it with you guys. was HSI and FBI conducting a search warrant at this business over here, Ambience. They have another location on 15 in Santa Fe. They did the raid in conjunction, and they had people detained in there. People that were coming out, they were saying that they had separated them by ethnicity and letting them out once they proved immigration status. They, a bunch of activists and a lot of people got together, gathered up over here, news outlets as well, gather up over here to rally right in front of the business and shout and protest against ICE. This happened shortly after there was a ICE raid in the Home Depot's parking lot of Wilshire and Union. It happened earlier today. Shortly after, they came over here and they did this over here. So people were obviously scared. They were panicking. They didn't know what was going on. There was very little information given to the public. So everyone was...
I'm sorry we didn't notify the public that we were doing an ICE raid today. Should we post signs next time?
Go to 7th?
Maybe put up some billboards?
7. Oh, 7 is way that way. I'm gonna have to drive around. 7 and what? Go to 7. I'm gonna have to... Estamos en Los Ángeles, en la Stanford y la 10, donde HSI y FBI en conjunto se metieron a este negocio que está acá atrás, se llama Ambience, y estamos conduciendo una investigación. Tiene una orden para revisar, meterse al negocio y a revisar el negocio. No querían dar información, no querían decir nada de lo que estaba pasando. Obviamente la gente se asustó, se paniquea, y lo único que se puede asumir es que esa inmigración, porque pasó después de que pasó una redada en el Home Depot, en el parquero del Home Depot que está en la Union y la Wilshire, aquí en Los Ángeles.
Right, Ace? No, not the Home Depot.
La gente se reunió aquí en protesta en contra del operativo que tenían aquí. Después de que se hizo más grande el alboroto, después que se hizo más grande...
Más grande. Very big raid.
Un montón de gente. Mandaron a traer esfuerzos militares ya de FBI con equipo militar. Llegaron y comenzaron a aventar gas pimienta hacia el público para dejar entrar la van, que se llevó por lo menos unos 15 detenidos. Se llevaron 3 vanes blancas con a las personas arrestadas. Uno de ellos, una muchacha que estaba aquí dijo que su papá y sus 2 tíos estaban adentro y no los vieron que salieron. Puede ella asumir que se los arrestaron y no le dieron información en cómo comunicarse con ellos. Y eso es lo que está pasando ahorita aquí en Los Ángeles, California, sobre la Stanford y la 10. Recap in English? Yeah, sure. We're in Los Angeles. We're in Los Angeles, California. Earlier today, there was a raid, immigration raid, conducted at the Home Depot's parking lot over at Wilshire.
General Sherman, damn, even my comfy streams are in Spanish now. Yeah.
And shortly after that,
can't escape it, Sherman.
Came and raided this business here. FBI, HSI, and ATF.
Tenemos buena información, Castillo.
Hey.
El mismo dueño de aquí era el de la otra compañía.
Oh, sí, yo sé. Ajá.
Tenía problemas fiscales con el FBI.
Ajá.
Estaba siendo investigado por el FBI y para no seguir con la investigación y no fuera arrestado, vendió a sus trabajadores al ICE. Por eso es que al mismo tiempo llegaron a las 2 locaciones a arrestar a la gente. Coreano, el dueño de esta compañía.
Oh, sí.
Vendió a sus trabajadores como estaba siendo investigado por el FBI y el LAPD. Para no seguir con la investigación, decidió vender.
vehicles here. So they're stopping right at the convention center just briefly here, and we could be just seeing the officers basically get inside a vehicle rather than hanging on to the side.
Okay. All right, we're going to continue to follow this situation, and we will give you a complete update coming up on the KTLA 5 News at 3 for Corrine Winter, Kai Goldberg. I'm Glenn Walker. We'll see you at the top of the next hour on the KTLA 5 News at 3.
All right, looks like KTLA is leaving the scene. One last straggler. Gosh, this Unite for Veterans, Unite for America's thing's still going on. That's crazy. Let's see. Did we lose this guy or did we just freeze him? No, he's still here. He's just freezing. Come on. Come on. ABC 7 still has it? Ah, yes they do. Good call. What is going on? Here we go.
Are going to get out of there. These agents are going to get out of there. This person is clearly, and we saw this, but we did end up seeing that person who was just hit by the car. They did get up. I don't know if they were taken to the hospital, but I saw them sitting up. I saw them, the crowd gathering around them. But again, when you know that a car is going to be getting away, I don't know exactly what kind of report, investigation happens after this. I don't even know if that person stuck around. But again, you can see people were throwing things at that vehicle, that ICE vehicle, I believe it was, ICE agents inside the vehicle with other people who were detained, but you saw people throwing things at them. You saw people approaching this car. You can see that people, they are definitely putting themselves out there, showing that they are not happy with what's happening. And it's unsettling to see this on our streets here.
And you now are back to watching live images. And just to wrap up that last little scene that we saw, that was the trailing vehicle of that caravan. Right. And so clearly what that group was trying to do was to close ranks, so to speak, and get caught back up with the other two vehicles in that caravan. So now what we're watching is, again, as Carlos was telling us earlier from Ambience,
completely frozen.
Basically, Ambience, just to clarify, it's a manufacturer, importer, and wholesaler of casual apparel, founded in 1999. It's located in the LA Fashion District, downtown. And so clearly they had a workforce that, whether it's Homeland Security, ICE, whoever it is, was interested in. And so they went into that workplace this morning, and when word got out that they were there were people that basically surrounded that building, and the agents were not able to get out. And so that's when those agents called these federal agents. They surrounded the building and created an opportunity for the agents in the building to get their detainees out and into the vans. And as you can imagine, and you witnessed, the conflict began to intensify. Some of the protesters began to throw objects at the officers. The officers needed to exit the area. And all in all, it does seem as if the temperature has cooled a bit as everyone has left that area.
Right, and I do believe that, these agents,
he just ended his
FBI,
live, so.
the ICE agents, they
looks
know
like
that
it's over.
With resistance. I'm not quite sure if
GG's.
they thought it was going to be to this
Good
level
games.
today, the way they saw people surrounding these vehicles, leaving, trying to keep them inside the area, and then once more reinforcements came, it becomes scary as well. You do not want to be taken into custody. If you are undocumented, you are asking for a reason to be snared in this situation. Again, we don't know why Ambiance was targeted today in the ICE raids, but we know a lot of people, they are turning up for their ICE regular visits. They are being detained. You know, this is, again, we've been talking about it. We've been doing it on our newscast every day. This is happening across the country. But today, it looked like a coordinated effort to go to several locations. We're trying to figure out, are there more locations that are being on the raided list from ICE agents right now?
I think what we've learned...
You would love to know that, wouldn't you?
Is
So
how
you can
quickly...
notify the rioters ahead of time.
The idea that word spread that quickly and people were willing in that part of town, down there in the Fashion District, to mobilize very quickly and surround that and try to keep the agents from...
Tacit Blue, did we ever stop calling them illegal aliens?
They had a backup plan.
That's
and they
my
were ready
preferred term
to
as well.
act in the event. So we are starting to see the federal agents mobilize here in LA. As you mentioned, it has been happening around the country. It is now happening here in LA, and this is the scene that you see here on the right. It does seem very orderly here on the right in the fact that they knew what they were going to do. They came in, they quickly grabbed who they were going to grab, put them in the van, and were going to take them away, and then they were met with resistance. Oddly enough, Colleen, not from the people being detained.
Well, the news, yeah, Tacit Blue.
From
the media
in the community who did not want
calls them all
to be
sorts of
detained.
things, anything other than that.
And
Migrants,
when the
poor souls,
reinforcements came in to try to protect all of the parties involved, not only the officers but also the people who were being detained.
Yeah, and I also find it somewhat interesting to see law enforcement concealing their identities. It makes you wonder, are these all undercover officers? I know not all ICE agents are going to be, you know, in disguise, but you could clearly see they do not want to be recognized. And obviously for probably good reason, because everyone has their phones there. They're recording everybody's every move. But this really did get very heated not long ago. We even saw some of the
Maryland men, yes, unrealized Americans, yeah.
Like smoke grenades almost. They were just trying to dissipate the crowd, and I guess the idea that they weren't just smoke,
dreamers,
you know, what they were, but when you see
potential vote
launched in the streets to try to get people to disperse, it did seem like it worked pretty effectively.
I think once you saw that person go to the concrete, potentially with serious injury, although yet, as you mentioned, the person did
Matthew
get up.
McInnes.
You hit your head on the concrete.
Wow,
it's really
that's
risky.
good to know.
Bruce Thomas,
are you saying we should deport
now, and
deport
I think
it?
Colleen brings up a very good point in why you would wear masks as federal agents when you're doing something like this. But Bruce, I think I'm going to kind of present something to you to ask you if this is accurate. But in this age of videos and pictures and people online basically stalking officers, I would think that that's one of the reasons, is that as an officer you don't want your identity out there any more than it has to be, especially in an item or an operation like this, which is so controversial, given which side of the issue you might fall on.
Yeah, you know, years ago when we did search warrants for the police departments, some of the narcotics officers wore masks to conceal their identity because they work undercover. And in this case, like you said, with the advent of social media, to get a photo of an officer, federal or local, and then you can do due diligence and find out who that officer is. And there have been cases where they have posted personal information about family, children, those kind of things. So it's very scary, and the officers are trying to protect themselves and their loved ones.
Yeah, and you know, earlier we were talking about what you do not see, by the way. Bruce, as usual, thank you so much for joining us on our live coverage of this breaking news story happening right now. We haven't seen the LAPD necessarily assisting in this, and we haven't seen the LA County Sheriff's Department participating in this ICE raid. We know that they're watching, they're making sure and monitoring, because that's what they would do to protect and serve the community. But what do you think is going through, you know, sort of Chief McDonnell and Sheriff Luna about what they're seeing right now and what kind of involvement they should or
says,
should
out of
not
curiosity, I checked my Home Depot and it's still overrun with Haitians.
Our LAPD and LASO have decided not to cooperate with the feds for a raid itself.
Don't bring your pets to Home Depot.
If there does become a mass incident of civil unrest, where it spreads in the community, then they would step in to protect life and property. However, they are not going to assist the federal agency, their federal partners, ICE, Homeland Security, in actually doing these raids. That's on them.
Yeah, and we do know that Chief McDonald, you said it's not for him to decide what the immigration status is of people who are taken into custody when it comes to ICE. So again, this is one of those things where we're going to just keep watching. You're looking at live images right now from Air 7, and Philip, you see this sort of convoy of vehicles that came in to the Fashion District to help with the ICE agents who had taken quite a few people into custody. Now, exactly what the future for those people who were taken into custody is unclear. But again, we've been seeing this happening. And again, I believe some people have been detained at the Roybal Federal Building. But again, maybe Bruce, you can talk about it too. What happens to these suspects? Because we don't exactly know why they have been taken into custody for immigration, customs, and enforcement.
Yeah, Pauline and Philip, we can just back up a second. If you notice, ICE, Homeland Security doing these raids, they're not in marked police cars. They're not wearing marked police uniforms. They're very militaristic-looking uniform, like the SWAT or the SAB teams have. So a lot of people are taken aback and shocked by this because, like, who are these people? And like you said, politically, with either side of the fence you're on, we can go back many years and know of a certain history that took place with this type of thing. Now, to answer your question, they're taken to the federal Roybal detention facility to be processed. What charges they'll be held on, we don't know. Locally, they're
Jay,
not
right?
held on anything.
Absolutely no clue why immigration ICE officials would arrest someone. We just don't know.
A federal statute.
Just can't fathom it.
But right now, it's all conjecture.
Well, Bruce, since you went back, I want to take you back even another little step as our live shot there, real quick, our live shot we're looking at, it appears that's kind of a staging area near the 110-10 interchange. That might be where they started, and it could be CHP area there. We're trying to figure that part out, but that kind of gets me to my point. You know, we mentioned LAPD. Yes, it is. Okay. So this kind of leads me to my question, Bruce. Where we have...
Right, Tacit, there was the thinly veiled, oh, this is just like Nazi Germany.
And
every other country in the world deports illegal citizens. Or illegal, not citizens, people who are there illegally.
We're not going to help you, but we need to...
We're not the only country that does this. In fact, we're the only country that doesn't do it on a large scale.
For crowd control, for the potential of, as you mentioned, civil unrest, because we need to protect local businesses. We need to protect local citizens for any outcome that might not protect them.
Huh?
What kind of responsibility from the federal officials is it to protect other people here?
Yeah, Philip, a great multi-pronged question. First of all, it is the CHP Central Division headquarters. They're not staging it at LAPD station. They're not staging at Men's Central Jail or a local sheriff station. They're staging on state property, which it sounds like they may have told CHP, hey, we'd like to use your area for staging area.
CHP said,
as
okay.
As far as them telling the local agencies what they're doing and where they're doing, my guess is they probably did not.
I'm sure CHP was like, I wonder why ICE wants to use our facilities for staging. It's a big old mystery to us.
Is Sheriff Luna, what is Chief McDonald thinking?
What are these people talking about?
I'd be angry if this happened in my city and I didn't know. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of phone calls made to some of the federal people.
The federal government has a right to deport non-citizens.
Play by different rules. We're the feds. We're the big bad sheriff in town, so to speak. And how much they'll share and how much they'll cooperate, once again, very little, I think.
Yeah, that's always so disappointing, Bruce, because you do always think that law enforcement is one big happy family, all in the quest to protect, but they do sort of go by their own verticals as well. Bruce, don't go anywhere, but we want to go to Annabelle Munoz. She is live at the Federal Building right now. Annabelle, you're getting some reaction from community seeing what's unfolding this afternoon.
Yeah, Colleen, we've spoken with people who've approached us after they've seen the situation unfold in the Fashion District. Others were noticing that some of these vehicles, DHS vehicles, are pulling into this parking lot, and many who are very aware of the immigration detentions and arrests that are taking place in different cities across the country. I'm joined now by Damien, who wishes to only share his first name with LA Street Care. Damien, talk to me about what you saw today and what you're concerned about.
Well, I'm concerned about a lot. So the first thing I saw, I went to East 9th and Santiago, and I parked my car to make sure they tried to stop the vans from leaving and the federal vehicles from leaving. Failed, unfortunately. And I'm concerned basically about the rise of fascism, quite frankly. You know, immigration.
The rise of fascism. It's fascist to deport people.
Divide people. And especially when you are dehumanizing and, you know, using them as a scapegoat for, you know, sometimes economic issues, things that just aren't really true. For instance, immigrants bring in, you know, billions of dollars a year, you know, sometimes tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, you know, billions of dollars at least, at the very least, to the local economy, national economy, federal economy.
Right, yeah. Good point, Greeno. Are they going to comment on this guy wearing a mask? They commented on the ICE officials wearing masks.
The, you know, the sort of fascistic America First slogan that Trump and, of course, the Republicans and conservatives in our country try to frame it as. And so, you know, and on top of that, as I was speaking about earlier, you know, we have American citizens who, you know, especially recently, that came in legally, came in through the proper channels and still got taken down, still got taken into custody. And so we have issues of like, where's the line? Where's the slippery slope of like, okay, well, especially without due process.
So we should just not deport anyone?
The issue we're having right now is without due process. It's like, well, are you American citizen? You know, it's like first they came for, you know, first they came for
American citizens are not getting deported.
We want to stop that at its, sorry, talk to me, but to stop that at its root, we can.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, and
if one of them gets swept up in a raid and has to prove they're an American citizen, well, I'm sorry, shit happens, but you know, people get wrongfully arrested all the time, and then their charges are later dropped. This isn't some crazy thing that never happens.
And that makes them susceptible to what's known as expedited removal, which means they can be deported without this hearing actually playing out. And so many are sounding the alarm, saying that due process is being done away with in the immigration system. As you see kind of these situations unfold, what do you see your role as a community member?
As a community member, bringing attention is a big part of it, in terms of just bringing attention, even as small as social media, even as much as talking to your representatives, but more importantly, being on the ground if you can. Obviously, there are people who are disabled, there are people who have, you know, other financial,
think of the disabled
families
people.
In terms of other responsibilities, it makes it more difficult. But if you are able-bodied, if you have the time, I think putting your body on the line for your fellow citizens, for your fellow people who are marginalized, I think it's really important, you know, in terms of just showing up for numbers for protests or showing up for like activism like this, where it's trying to stop ICE from actually bringing the vans to the detention centers. That was our attempts, at least as far as I understood, on East 9th and Santiago. You know, I put my car in front of the thing to try to stop the vans. We tried to crowd, you know, what we could do, but we got flashbanged. I have footage of me being pushed around by one of the officers. I have the face on my cell phone. You know, trying to do our best. What we can do. It's a very
well, Grammy. The raid stream is now over. It was live a little bit ago. They're interviewing some guy after it.
You know, billions of dollars go into just LAPD alone. One of the biggest.
It was a hit and run raid
in the world.
There were protests that happened right after it, but then ICE dispersed, and then the protesters dispersed.
And so we're dealing, you know, we're on a back foot to a certain extent, but it doesn't mean you don't try. It doesn't mean you don't put the effort in. So that's my idea. It's like we have their self-defense.
Ace is ICE, and I hope they give this guy a free bottle of shampoo. McDonald's is looking at his head as a new source of fry oil.
Coalition is somebody, is a coalition, and it's a group that does try to help with that.
Then, yeah, I bet as rates step up, there'll be more protests, for sure.
I work with other mutual aid groups that try to do the same thing, just trying to show up, trying to be for the community, trying to bring numbers and trying to stop. We've seen it around town, you know, like megaphones trying to tell immigrants their rights. and trying to make sure they don't, trying to put our bodies on the line, because I think that's the price of freedom sometimes.
Thank you, Damien, for taking the time to speak with us and share your perspective on the situation that we're seeing. No, thank you. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we're seeing. I think Colleen and Philip, you may have touched on this as well, is what the community response has looked like in different cities around the country. We saw a big turnout, for example, in San Diego. We're expecting a rally here in downtown Los Angeles at 4:30. We know word is spreading about that here in downtown Los Angeles outside of the federal courthouse. So we will stay here, continue to monitor things. I don't know if it's happened just in the last few minutes as we've been conducting this interview. I haven't recently seen some of those DHS vans pulling in or out of this parking lot, but we definitely saw many of those earlier here this afternoon.
Okay, Annabelle, thank you very much. We are watching the live shot there on the right as some of the vehicles are starting to leave that staging area and going to various places. Let's go back to Carlos Granda. He is at the Fashion District where all of this began. Carlos, what have you got from the scene that we saw such activity earlier?
Absolutely. Well, it certainly changed a lot in just the last 30 minutes, 45 minutes, because after all the federal agents left, a lot of the other people that were here protesting also left. But behind me, you can see there's still some traffic here on Stanford Avenue near 10th Street, because that's where the store is. It's called Ambiance, and it's a wholesale business, and that's where apparently ICE agents
the hell?
the gates. They brought in, we were able to open up the gates. They brought in the vans and loaded up some of the people from inside that they were arresting, put them in those vans and take them out. But again, it was a very tense situation, a lot of a big confrontation, a lot of confusion outside as all of this was happening. But this operation took maybe about 20 minutes or so. And then they were able to get everybody outside of the building, and they left. And while they were leaving, the crowd was pursuing some of these Homeland Security agents down the street, yelling at them. And then the agents, from what we heard, we were about a block and a half away, we could hear about 4 or 5 loud flashbangs, and that's used usually to, get people out of the way, to scare people, and that's what we heard. Very loud flashbangs. But again, there was a big confrontation in the street, a lot of tense situation here as there was a confrontation between hundreds of people in the crowd and all the Homeland Security agents.
Carlos, thank you so much. We're gonna gather some more information.
Yeah, Carlos, you're boring us. Bye.
At 3 o'clock on all the ICE raids that have been happening in the Fashion District as well as other areas in Los Angeles. We'll see you at 3 o'clock.
All right.
Yeah, and I.
We almost had a hot mic moment.
I'm Doug. And I'm Damon, and we
right,
want to buy your house.
All right, guys, that's it for me for this stream. I will be back on later tonight. I don't know what we'll be doing, if there's anything going on. It might just be a gaming stream. I'm not really sure yet. Obviously, if there's something happening, we'll watch that. That'll take precedence. Good hanging with you guys this afternoon. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that like on your way out. We will see you all later. Hong, 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 hongers. Goodbye.